Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with the Huron Blackheart. No, not that one. The other one. The other one.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me on today, Molotov. What a pleasure to be doing this roundhouse interview with you.
It'll be my pleasure to schizo ramp. So do you want to give a little introduction or something for our dear listeners?
So, for the people who haven't been around or know about me in circumstantial areas, I am a Warhammer archivist and historian in many degrees. I personally take it upon myself to make sure that things are remembered and people get to know about the things about the hobby that they want to know.
Very good.
Yeah,
very
that's
good.
more or less it.
So I suppose to start off, we go with the most basic question that is ever out there for this sort of thing. How'd you get into the hobby?
Well, funny enough, my older brother is the person who got me into it. He and his friend group had the 4th edition starter set and some of the battle forces, and 8-year-old me, they decided to rope in because, better to have your little brother not be pestering you and doing something useful like playing a game with you. So he got me into the hobby around 4th edition alongside his buddies, and I'm only here thanks to him.
And it all worked out in the end.
Oh, many such cases.
So what was the point in your little hobby journey where you're like, I just need to have everything just in order in front of me?
Well, that's actually a pretty wrong-reaching one. It's because me and that friend group of his, we had to share books. Like, we shared the codexes, the rule book, and all of that, and I love the pretty pictures. I love the, half-understood sentences that I'd read in these books, and I was like, yeah, I want all of it. And then I went onto the Games Workshop forums, and I realized other people also wanted all of it. And from there, it was kind of a spiral of meeting people, collecting, discussing, and seeing what each and every one of us had, and just more or less sharing it all.
Just doing your best Indiana Jones impersonation.
Oh, absolutely.
So throughout your little journey, what's been the hardest thing to get your hands on?
Okay, actually, funny enough, it's not even any of the old stuff. Like, there are millions of Rogue Trader books out there. Same with 2nd edition, 3rd, 4th, 5th. But there is one that was really hard to get anything for, and that's 6th edition 40k. Because basically, nobody bought most of the stuff.
Oh, I see.
Like, the spin-off campaign, the spin-off campaigns and some of the codexes are harrowing to try and get your hands on. Like, the 5th edition Planet Strike or the Fantasy Mighty Empires book. You couldn't get any of those for many years.
I was expecting some, random magazine from, 3rd ed, because they ramped it right up around that era.
Yeah, I mean, the things like the Skavenblight Gazette and the Necromundan Times and all of that, they had their own dedicated communities that usually kept that stuff and preserved it quite well. But poor Lord of the Rings, War of the Ring, and Shadow War Armageddon and the Warhammer historical stuff just didn't have the community to keep it around, which, yeah.
Annoy someone to see if they have it shoved in the back of their shed or something.
Yeah, it took many years to get, especially the absolutely infamous 6th edition Eldar Codex. That was particularly hard to get my hands on.
Not even like a supplement, a full-on just main faction codex.
Yeah, it's because, well, at that point in time, people weren't really interested in 40k anymore and started to look at what Forgeworld was doing.
So would that have been around the period everyone's jumping over to Heresy and Talakam?
Yeah, absolutely. Tamarkan's Horde for Warhammer Fantasy.
I suppose I keep thinking of a model equivalent, and I just think of the Space Wolf kit from Forgeworld. That was just no one wants these.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you want official ones that are the real deal, good luck.
Yeah, true. I don't think you can find those upside down bolters or those full Space Wolf wolf helmets anywhere.
Should have tried buying some up at some point. Once everyone saw where the wind was blowing, I should have.
Yeah, I was tempted, but I would also have to bear that horrific mark of sin, sitting somewhere in my bits box or in my house.
Why, you don't want your little fursuit heads just staring back at you from the corner?
No.
It's like the little green goblin mask. It's just like, think of all the money. Think of all the money.
You make a good point, but I guess it's too late for that.
Look, if you just get the right recast, you know, you get the right packaging, I'm sure you can trick some random furries online.
I mean, you say that, but like, I know that there are a few guys out there in the Yugoslavian wastes that make metal recasts that you could definitely trick somebody in your local like Facebook group as an actual genuine metal piece from Games Workshop.
The second a recast isn't made of resin, the believability just skyrockets.
Absolutely.
Because if someone came in with like a metal dreadnought that was recast, who the fuck am I gonna know?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, oh yeah, it's
How
this
are you gonna
chunk
know?
of metal that you can kill someone with.
Yeah, the legendary dreadnought in a sock tactic.
Oh, look, Bjorn is probably gonna come up for pre-order in like another week, so you could make it a reality for a small fortune.
Yeah. I mean, if you really want to, you can also go and try and find a bunch of the metal chaosspacemarines knockoffs that they had lying around. Put those all in a sock like a bunch of pennies and go blackjack.
Your Honor, you see, I was just stored that. This is how I carry my miniatures around. This was not a prepared weapon. I don't know what you're talking about.
Your Honor, I plead oopsie daisy.
You know what? It's fine. It's it all adds up. Sure.
So true.
So over the course of your little career, I'd say you and you more than most would be exposed to a lot of the lesser known GW authors here and around. So after experiencing all of them to varying degrees, who is your top 5?
Okay, so in no particular order, Chris Wright deserves a big shout out. Easily one of the most talented authors that they have ever hired. The guy, in my experience, has never written a bad book in his life.
I will push back in one respect. Have you ever read Wrath of Iron?
Fair, good point.
I was looking forward to the Iron Hands getting a bit of love, and it's like, oh, Julius Caesar's in here as well.
Yeah,
then,
what a sweet treat.
It's like, oh, if anyone could do it, clearly Chris Ray, and then it was just like, this is just a bit of a slog. Oh no.
Yeah, he does do that sometimes. But you know what? I still got through it fine enough, and I enjoyed the experience.
It wasn't agonizing to go through, but it was just like, this is not your best work, sort of thing.
Yeah. Next up, William King. Oh boy. Nothing makes me cream my jorts more like Gotrek and Felix. What a legendary author. Just don't ask me about his Space Wolf books. I never read them. They don't exist. Shut up.
The Space Wolves get books? I don't know. I think you're hallucinating.
I don't know either. I personally, I think it's just hearsay.
It's a collective just delusion of sorts. Mass hysteria, really.
Yeah, I agree. Nathan Long also deserves a good shout out because even though his takes on the Gotrek and Felix books are usually a bit more grand and a little less sure-footed than the William King books, but fuck it, they're still balling.
Zombie Slayer is a favorite of mine.
Yeah, I mean, he has a fantastic way of going about set pieces and dramatization of like essentially eye-to-eye combat. Like all the scenes of either Felix or Gotrek in a duel is legendary. You can hear each twang of blades hitting each other or the meaty thwacks of impact. It's great.
I really felt like with Nathan Long that he took the series and he was like, all right, if it isn't the consequences for my own actions.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't imagine the face on Long's face when he was asked to take over from William King, Gotrek and Felix. It was probably a very perplexed and maybe mildly disgruntled and excited face.
I mean, it is a task and a half to live up to King.
I agree, and I think he did it quite well.
And well, you also had the sort of cliffhanger from, what was it, Giant Slayer?
Yeah, with the Slann and the Savage Orcs.
Yeah, and being teleported away to the other end of the world.
Yeah.
There was a lot of places to go, a lot of ways to go, and I think he handled it well enough.
Yeah, I do think so too. Even though the ending of the series was quite legendarily weak, which, to be honest, is more Games Workshop's fault.
Yeah, what was it, Cursed City or whatever they call it? City of the Damned, I think. because they're just going through more time. Be'lakor was just not very compelling, I found, as a villain. And then when I found out, oh, he's the big bad of the last book, I thought, oh no.
Well, yeah, Be'lakor isn't. I haven't read a book, or actually, I haven't seen Be'lakor in anything that makes him compelling.
Yeah, he's just like, I want power, woo. I want to be the fifth god. It's like, get in line, loser.
You and me too, buddy. Get in line. Fucking hell.
How many fifth chaos gods do we have at this point? We got Malal/Malus, the Emperor with their king.
We've also got that Vashtor person who only just showed up.
We got the Great Horned Rat as a contender.
God.
I mean, fucking Fabius at this point is like, oh yeah, you got Pater Mutatus is a thing. It's a minor warp entity.
True. I mean, there's also the Raptor god. There's old Scribones from Aaron Dembski's books.
Now that the Chaos Dwarves are back, I wouldn't be surprised if Hashut gets a lot of push.
Oh yeah, right. Great horned rat.
Big old rat man himself. He was in they had like the image of the 5 of them at one point, so I think they're kind of pushing for that to a degree.
Yeah, I think so too. L+ ratio for rats.
True.
Yeah. Another good shout is Sandy Mitchell, who of course did the legendary book series of Caiaphas King. Man, that guy knows how to pull off a rock star hero.
I love a bit of Blackadder in space.
Yeah, so good. Absolutely phenomenal. Enough said. Because I'm being very salty over the latest few books from Dan Abnett, I'm not going to put him on there and instead give a shout out to Henry Zhao, who did 3 really good books centered around the Inquisition, then the Blood Gorgons, and an Imperial Guard regiment.
I don't think I was familiar with her or him.
Well, that's because he got nailed for plagiarism in one of his books.
Oh.
And the funniest part is that it's not even something important. It's like literally a description of a jungle.
And that just sank him from then on.
Yeah, the thing is that he showed really great talent for like shooty bang bang bolter porn. It's peak flash action, really gritty, tough, and juicy combat sequences, but he just couldn't nail it.
He could have made it big, but he messed it up.
Yeah, he did. So yeah, that's who I'll say is my favorite. My 5 favorites.
I'm surprised a certain Bly didn't sneak in.
No, Bly is an entirely different league, okay?
Alright.
There's the list of the favorites, and then there's Bly standing aside.
So I think he did at least help write with 1 novel. So if you want to talk novel writers, I think he counts technically.
True, fair, but I think he's done more and better work within his line for, of course, all the Imperial armor, the Black Books, and the various fantasy spin-off things he's done.
And when you got that sort of track record there, it's a bit difficult to beat, really is.
Yeah.
And speaking on people like Bly, what are your thoughts on legacy creators sort of being forgotten by newer players or just not being known? And the sort of lack of new icons in the hobby. And an example I'd give from personal experience is you had White Dwarf's favorite fat bloke died.
Oh, Paul Sawyer. Yeah. First off, R.I.P. Paul Fat Bloke Sawyer. You were a true icon and probably one of the best writers that White Dwarf ever had for their articles. I mean, the guy just breathed passion into every sentence he did. And then he took that over to Warlord Game. A real tragedy that we lost him.
I mean, the effects on like individual armies alone that he had. He was quite famous for like his Beastmen, his Dwarf army, and like the biggest would probably be his White Scare army.
Yeah.
Like the stereotype of the Bike Legion kind of comes from him.
He personally inspired me with my Armageddon Orcs army, which is stylized into a more savage, like quasi-fantasy orc style, because I just really love the thing that he did with his beastmen and the various kit bashes and custom sculpts that he did, that I thought it would also look fantastic if a 40k orc army also looked like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
The line between 40k and 30k in terms of just army design, it's so thin that you can just get away with so much. It's so great.
True. But on the thoughts of legacy creators being forgotten, in many ways that is because there are tons of people how should I say, put great efforts and lengths into showing off what you can do in the hobby. Like, a great example actually is mini wargamer Dave, Matt, and actually, you know what, the entire mini wargaming team. Those guys, one of my own hobby icons, they're some of the few that are left. Some of the few that actually interact with the people and continue to make the content. Another good one is Duncan Rhodes, who these days, he's still around and still does the good work, but without his direct affiliation to Games Workshop anymore, a lot of people just don't see him in the way of icon or somebody that they should be like following in the footsteps of in like terms of passion or ideas and so on and so forth. But I think this is mainly due with the shattering of the community after the war. Forums were obliterated by Kirby and the total decline of White Dwarf. Icons have become fewer and far between. There are people who can stand up as idols, like Bricky.
I think Duncan would be more of one of the standout sort of ones.
Yeah, Duncan is more of an idol now, more than an icon. But when people talk about them, it's about the stuff and the content that they make, and not about their passion, their creativity, and how they inspired them to increase or better their hobby. It's a bit of a shame, really, but I guess it's just a change of times.
So I suppose you don't get that sort of personal perspective, like almost weekly or monthly, like you would with White Dwarf, and also the elimination of just having people's names and faces in different publications, like that's just gone.
Because, I mean, Duncan Rhodes, if people didn't know, he personally helped on 3 of the greatest Citadel journal painting guides, like the How to Paint Space Marines, How to Make Terrain, and How to Paint Heavy Metal books from around 2005 to 2008, which... Oh, right, he also did the series of direct, like, DVDs of that Games Workshop used to sell of painting guides, because, you know, DVDs were pretty popular back then in 2005. I don't know if you remember that.
I knew there was like the audiobook discs that went around during the period, but I didn't know that they had painting tutorial video.
Yeah, believe it or not, they also had installable army builders that you could get off of disc.
All right, it's news to me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's alien technology. I mean, you can only get it to work on Windows Vista anymore. Oh.
Yeah, Windows alone can just be a bit of a bother enough. Getting Vista running right.
Yeah, nah. I recently got my hands on a disc of the official Games Workshop 4th edition Army Builder for the armies of the Imperium, which only works on Windows Vista, which I've been trying to verify the quality of this disc, but I just can't get Vista working.
Oh, the wonders of Windows and technology in general.
The misery.
I don't know, maybe you just annoy the people over at GOG. They'll get it working.
True.
Guys, this counts as a game, right? You do Warhammer stuff.
So true. They got, what was it? Curse of the... It was one of the original PS Warhammer games. Something of the Horned Rat. Shadow of the Horned Rat. That's the one. They got it to work.
Then there was the... It was the 40k RTS that was like based around the eldar mostly.
Rights of War.
That was it.
Yeah, I played Rights of War a lot, man. I was never good at it.
Look, you just got to keep practicing. You just got to keep going. And if you lose, that's clearly just a skill issue and you need to get good.
Yeah, no, it really was. I'd get obliterated by Cadian Sentinel teams or by Sentinels or heavy weapons teams.
I've heard stories about grots just pinging things to death.
Oh, man.
Hordes and hordes of grots.
The amount of times I've lost, like, avatars of Cain to just, like, 3 grots continuously moving back and shooting because they had a faster movement speed than the avatar of Cain was just insane.
Look, the game was doing it before the novels made it cool, I'm just saying.
True. Rights of War was a real trendsetter.
Look, if all these named Ultramarines can do it, why can't Why can't the Groth? Yeah, we'll make it Macari just to make it a bit more equal.
Oh man, that would be funny. Oh yeah.
Maybe get the red gobbo.
Actually, Rights of War came out around 2nd edition, which means Gorka Morka wasn't even a thing yet. Oh, that would have been a
beginning
first
of third,
show
isn't
up.
it? Tail
Yeah.
in a second.
Oh, what I would have given for that planned PS1 Gorka Morka game. There was supposed to be a racing game centered around Gorka Morka for the PS1, but it just never launched.
We got one eventually, but maybe someone can do like a D-make of it.
Oh, that would be great. I would love to see Speed Freaks be turned more into Gorka Morka.
It would be fun. And also like trying to stylize them around like the PS1 sort of limitation. Curious what we'd end up with.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm just imagining someone like, if it had happened, would we see things like a PS1 themed armies later on? Because we get that sort of stuff with Dawn of War to a degree.
Yeah, true.
I wonder.
Well, you can wander on a bit longer considering Dawn of War 4 is coming along.
Look, if someone comes out with like a Firstborn mod, I'll have interest. Until then, no.
You know what? Hard agree. I totally agree.
And no one how the community is, particularly with Dawn of War. As long as the game is decent and lives for a bit, I'd say we'll get it.
Absolute. For real. No cap.
The biggest thing we'd probably see, if it is a success, that is someone's going to try and make the Armageddon mod for it.
That would be hilarious to see. I would genuinely gut bust myself to death.
The thing is, it's probably one of the first things people would work on if it's successful, but it's going to be the thing that's going to take the longest.
Absolutely. Because, these days with just how many high quality digital models are out there, you could probably quite easily get a whole bunch of very similar levels of quality models into the game to be easily modded in with a skeleton to share same animations and things.
Oh my god, I can't believe it, someone's put the entirety of Total War Warhammer into it. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Actually, for the demons, you probably could take a bunch of them.
Demons in my sci-fi fantasy setting? I don't think so.
True, why would we do that? That would be silly.
Why would we have that?
Imagine if you had things like Dexessa and Sinessa, and you had a book called the Emperorschildren Codex coming out. Imagine putting the children of Slaanesh in that. That'd be silly.
Yeah, I think that would just be absolutely ludicrous. Not realistic at all.
The funniest one to me is Celeste, because if you go on the GW webpage, it specifies that they're in both AOS and 40k.
Really?
Yeah.
By God.
So it on the webpage specifies that you can't use it with the Emperor's Children.
Classic Games Workshop.
Maybe you can use it later on in like a Demon's Codex. I think they've ever crossed over officially with rules. I don't think anyway.
Hey, every person that's been playing Emperor's Children since 7th onwards, all those Forge Fiends you like? Bye-bye. Gone.
Oh, don't, at least we keep the Noise Marines. I can still use all 60 of them, right?
Yeah.
But maybe my Noise Marine Lord with his bolt pistol and sword is like, oh, that got replaced with the Sonic pistol.
Yeah, what a shame.
Big shame. It was so sad because I would see people in like all the different Emperor's Children communities. They would be building cultists, they'd be making Forge Fiends, they'd be doing Predators because all the other legions got that. And the second the Codex leaked, you stopped seeing that real quick.
I bet.
It's like, guys, look, I took this unit and I sonicked it up. It's like, oh, you poor man.
Oh, you poor dumb bastard. It's not going to be a happy ending.
I think I might have seen a Defiler, but I think most people were like, yeah, that one's a bit dodgy, just because of the age.
Hot take. I love the Defiler. The Defiler is so absolutely peak.
Look, if they just update it and like make the head slot in a bit better, I'm all in.
So true. Hey, you know that you can actually put the turret swivels for its arms where its head's supposed to be?
I think I have seen conversions with that.
Yeah, you can also take pintles from like the Rhino or the Land Raider or the Chaos Vehicle upgrade sprue and replace it on the head.
Oh, that does sound nice.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I've done that myself with my own Defiler. I have a Legacy Combi Melta pintle on top there.
What was it? It was kind of like the go-to for to convert the Great Brass Scorpion before forgeworld did it.
Mm-hmm.
People get like 2 of them and just make it massive.
Yeah. Oh man, sweet conversions like those.
surprised we don't see more conversions of like the dominatrix, because that thing came out for Epic back in like the 90s, and like next week in like Warhammer Monthly, someone had like sculpted the whole thing.
Yeah, I know. There was... Because I know that there was that one guy who did the one-to-one of the Epic model, and then there was one guy who took some of the the Forge World Hero duels and green stuffed a like ghetto dominatrix together.
I've seen both of them, and then my favorite one about the old one is you just like have the little guy like just like coddled on top.
Yeah.
It's like he's just sitting
Just
back in a gaming chair.
Yeah, just like the elephant from Alien.
Except in comparison to the elephant, I don't know why. It just looks comfy up there to me. I just find that funny.
True, he does look comfy. If you guys haven't seen it, take a look at that picture. He's very comfy up there.
If I remember, I'll maybe stick it up. I make no promises.
So true.
So
Before we get... Yeah.
go on.
No, I was about to say the same thing of tangent aside.
Tangent of what we should still have and funny conversions. So I came in after 8th edition, which shocks some people on occasion. What was it like experiencing the transition from 7th to 8th? Because it seems like a very, very big change to the hobby.
One word. Chaotic. The shift to 7th to 8th was a massive one, because first off, Games Workshop was in shambles. Like, the ending days of 7th edition was full panic mode for them. They wanted something fresh, new out, because they wanted to start moving into the modern audience, but they also wanted to fix all their own quote-unquote technical debt with the system that they had, because they've just completely overblown bloated it. So they brought out the Gathering Storm, and then 8th edition, which reports vary, but from the experience of the time and knowing quite a few decent people within the area of Games Workshop and their managerial team plus designers, 8th edition was more or less designed with a shoestring budget, a basic idea, and about a year of planning, and it really did show. Because the 8th edition indexes, plus the first few codexes that came out, were not particularly well laid out or playtested at all. Many mixed feelings over it. And this is mainly due to this big push that came from a bunch of the middle managers for something new to get new people in and have an aesthetic overhaul for Space Marines. The now infamous Primarchs. Yeah, Games Workshop was also really scared with the change that they're doing because of the climactic disaster that was. For people who know about the sale and launch of the Gathering Storm, and the very, very poor launch of AOS a few years earlier, which in this case pulled off successfully. They did pull off successfully because they did hit the mainstream. They did, broadly speaking, everything that they promised to do, and brought out a new Space Marine line, which of course, just like previous editions, whenever you tack on new things for Space Marines, it instantly sells.
Look, you're just giving crack to crack addicts, it's good. It's gonna sell. It's gonna do it.
Yeah, it was absolutely chaotic. I mean, for the people that are around and that can remember it, the 8th edition indexes were particularly mad.
When I hear people talk about 8th fondly, it's usually about the indexes and less about the codex era that came a bit after.
The indexes were, for a lack of a better term, completely schizophrenic. Yeah, each and every one of them. You could do so much with them that was so funny, and it didn't even feel bad using against your opponent because he was also doing some really fucking dumb gimmick list.
So it's the classic of everyone's broken, but it's balanced because everyone's broken.
Yeah. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could bring, like, what was it? Up to 24 orc big guns. So, like, cannons, zap guns, lobbas, all the lot. Which usually performed quite poorly, but you could fit all 24 of them within, like, 600 points?
Magnificent.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people sort of blame the sort of downfall of 7th? A lot of it I hear is formations, or do you find that there was a lot more to it than that?
Okay, 7th had many problems, but I think the thing that killed most of the goodwill was the very obvious problem of formations. Formations were a very big push for each of the codexes that got them, which was practically all of them, unless you're against the Arcults. Get wrecked, guys. You really wanted to use those, and you usually didn't have the model to fill out that formation. So what did you do? You bought those models. It was a very obvious and unsubtle way of Games Workshop to try and sell you more things for a game that was already becoming more horrifically bloated. I mean, people called the 7th edition Space Marine Codex bloated. And currently, the 10th edition Codex has double the amount of units that the 7th edition Codex had. And that's... yes, 7th edition had many problems that wasn't just formations. Formations were a big one because it killed a lot of the... Well, blah, blah, blah. Right. So, it's the obvious pushing of Games Workshop trying to sell you stuff, and it's all called the Codex is bloated, but nowadays, you know, if you look at the 10th edition Codex, we have like double to sometimes even triple the amount of units in those codexes that were compared to the 7th edition ones. And another big problem was just the way how they handled everything. Like, this was about the time where people really started complaining about the quality of books and about how rules felt on the tabletop. Things started to feel a lot less crunchy and a lot more gamey. Like you're trying, instead of playing a thematic, semi-roleplay-ish experience of two sci-fi fantasy armies coming together, it felt more like a complex game of MTG chess, which really wasn't helped by the lackluster quality of certain campaign books that came out.
That would have been Shield of Baal, and then the Thousand Suns big reveal.
Yeah, the Thousand Suns one, which everyone loved the look of Magnus. People like drooled over that and the Thousand Suns models, but rightfully so, nobody talks about the books because they were bad. Very bad.
What was it? Lucas the Trickster gets a fast one on Primarch somehow.
Yeah, which, yes, that's Lucas's shtick, but this is also a Primarch, and the first time that we see a Primarch back in the setting, and he gets done over by a literal knockoff Joker character.
What was it? I think he got a hit off of Grimnar's axe, and then Khorne himself laughed.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's a slightly shortened version of events, but yeah, that's the long and short.
You know, look, Magnus, he started a long and proud tradition of dunking on demon Primarchs.
So true. Well, actually, no. First, that one goes to Mortarion because he got dunked on by a certain chapter master of the Grey Knights.
True. It wasn't even on the table, and he did it.
Yeah, it wasn't even on the table.
What an icon.
Actually, funny enough, because during that time because there was one other time where Demon Primarch showed up on the tabletop that wasn't epic. There was a white dwarf. I don't remember the exact number. I remember it because one of my older brother's friends put it to horrific use in 5th edition. But when the entire First War for Armageddon thing was being hashed out in white dwarves, they put out rules for Angron so that you could use it in a First War for Armageddon system.
I was thinking you were going to talk about the token games that they had in White Dwarf, where it was like the boarding of the Vengeful Spirit.
Oh no, that's not even one of them because that wasn't. You know, they were like token games, not an actual full 20k White Dwarf rules release, which is kind of insane to think about. That it was first Angron, not somebody else.
Armageddon, you know, it was fairly popular. You would have had the book from 3rd edition to boost popularity.
Yeah, it was the
always makes sense to a degree.
Yeah.
Like, what, Fulgrim was fucked off to the Pleasure Planet. Didn't really hear of him.
The living Saturn.
Oh, don't worry. There's much worse description.
Oh yeah, no, I'm very aware.
Oh, there's always like what was it, Inkari, transformed in like a fat version of him, and then they just went at it. I think that was Graham McNeil.
It's always Graham McNeil. It's always Graham McNeil. First Demon Kalaba, then that.
Yeah, he's not treated my legion the best. Very sad.
Look, and quite honestly, he hasn't been treated that well by the community either, because he obviously has a legendary status for writing that.
Yeah, it's like Graham, when he does well, he does real well, but when he does real bad, it's real bad.
We won't shut the fuck up about it. In fact, he even says so.
I don't know, like the way the community treats the Demonculab is like, I'm gonna watch out, no one tell him about that. And it's like, everyone knows.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get around it, you know?
Yeah, it's so well known in the community, it's like, it's not even really a shock value thing at this point.
Yeah, it's just disgusting.
At this point, it's probably something worse than the lore you can find.
Oh no, absolutely, but it's a particularly stick-out-ish thing. It's far too detailed. It's far too detailed.
Okay, first you fatten them up, and then you take the skin off, and
like,
how long did you spend thinking about this?
Yeah, that's the real question. But if we really want to talk about horrific authors who put their unadulterated desires into 40k books, there's much bigger fish to fry in that pond.
Look, I'm sure if there were such an individual, I'm sure Alfred Hitchcock loves them very much.
I don't think Ian Watson and Alfred Hitchcock like each other.
You can't prove that.
True. Get this man a true.
This is my new Warhammer headcanon.
Yeah.
Remember, there is no canon or whatever, so I get to make it, even if it's real life.
But, yeah. Before our, yet again, another tangent, the transition to 7th to 8th was quite chaotic.
There was also the sort of promise of Primaris, it'll just be this one-off little thing. This is supplementary, and as time's gone on, that's been...
Yeah, no, I mean, hey,
proven.
Did you know the Reavers, those, like, that really shittily named Reaver unit with the fucking, skull masks and the combat knives, did you know that used to be originally marketed as the Scouts? Like the Scout Company Marines for Primarchs?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you look back at it, it's very obvious, and I think that's what caused the bloat for 10th Ed is they introduced all this Primaris stuff, but people still wanted the old stuff, and eventually they had to Primaris them.
Yeah.
So instead of just being like, here is the Scout equivalent with Reavers, it was like, okay, we have Reavers, and also we have Scouts now, because you wanted them back and wouldn't shut up about it.
Yeah, it's just Primaris have been really poorly handled. I mean, I could go on to hours for about how nonsensical it is as a thing for Primaris to be introduced in the way that they did, and practically zero consequence for their introduction, but that's not the topic for today.
No, and anyway, the consequences do sometimes show up, but they tend to die in the same book.
R.I.P. Gabriel Seth, I miss you already.
Talking about things that disappeared, poor Seth, R.I.P. What do you know about Fires of Cyraxus?
Oh boy, because if you're going to ask about Fires of Cyraxus, then you're definitely going to ask me about the Talons of the Emperor.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, if there's just things that vanished mysteriously in general.
The Fires of Cyraxus was a tragedy. Same with Alan Bly's death, the brainchild behind all of this.
They're both were announced on the same day.
Yeah. The Fires of Cyraxus that we got to see shown off was mostly finished. They were held. If you were there, you would remember that there were about 20 display books that they had there as well to show off. They weren't just pre-run copies. They weren't finished, laminated, or anything like that yet.
Mm-hmm.
However, saying that, I know at least 2 people, because they bragged about it on Bolter and Chainsword, that got books, 2 of those books under the table. I don't know where they are, and I really want to.
Look, I'm sure if you just you just throw a bunch of Polish people at it, and eventually you'll get it.
Yeah.
You just need enough.
I just need enough onions and Marlboro cigarettes.
Anything's possible when you put enough Polish people to the task.
So true. There were a few other books planned during this period of time alongside Fires of Cyraxus, like an Imperial armor book that was centered around Genestealer activity on a hive world, culminating in an invasion. It was going to be a Space Marine chapter, the Raptors, plus a Circadian urban combat versus Genestealer Gults plus Gangers, and then a later book with the Nids coming in. But that one never left the planning phase. There was... Yeah, like, it was one of those things when I had the chance to interact with some of the former forgeworld staff that left after Bly's death or got laid off in the really bad days after, with Games Workshop stepping in to fill in the boots, that they had so many fun plans to do. Specifically was Talons of the Emperor, since they were still around the design phase when GW jumped the gun with dropping custodians into 40k, which was mostly fine for them because Forgeworld could keep up and people would just have to wait for the rest of the SOS and, Sisters of Silence and Resin custodian ranges. The
custodians are still waiting.
Well, we're never going to get those because those things were shelved. Because as everybody knows now, Forgeworld is on life support mode. They're just churning out upgrade sprues and your little Space Marine character every, second month? Third month? Whatever time frame.
These days, there's a reason I think Heresy Thursdays are just gone now, so...
Yeah.
Even that's in question.
Most of Forgeworld has been liquidized these days. It's a skeleton crew that's keeping it on life support to keep all the things that actually sell and some of the specialist stuff going around. But the custodians were closest to completion, so they were easily finished with some CAD bashing, and we got all the stuff that we have now, like the Velataris and whatnot. But with Bly's state and, stresses in the workshop, they had to focus more onto just pushing everything that was very close to being finished out, or making sure that all the stuff that they knew would continue to work, that wouldn't get axed instantly by Games Workshop into a complete state. And unfortunately, SOS, Sisters of Silence, wasn't one of them.
Do you think the second edition Horus Heresy book with the Custodies and the Sisters, bunch of new units just suddenly appeared out of nowhere, and then third edition they vanish again? Do you think there was a little tempting there to bring back some of that and just fell apart?
I definitely think some of the people at Forgeworld that were still, or at least that got transferred over to Games Workshop, or at least knew about it internally, tried to keep some of those old plans that they had for Custodians and Sisters of Silence, specifically Sisters of Silence, in play, so that at least people could get to use the things that they wanted them to have, use the tools that they really planned Sisters of Silence to get. And unfortunately, Horus Heresy 3rd edition is the great beheader in this.
No,
the Executioner Blade, if you would.
My poor nullificators.
Oh man, I really love the beast packs. When, I can't say names here, but there was a very prolific designer at Forgeworld that lamented the fact that he couldn't finish the beast packs that he wanted to do because he was going to do a very, how should I say it? But quite an inspired design for, you know how the Krieg horses look?
Yes.
Yeah, so kind of like that, but for dogs and feline creatures.
Oh, I'm just imagining them, because we have a bit of art for the Hound.
Yeah.
But you just
fuck
them up a bit more.
Perfectly fits, doesn't it?
Yeah. It slots right in. And then,
yeah.
Also, you have all the Beastmasters for Militia, so I could imagine Militia players would just nick them.
Yeah, absolutely. What a shame. Too bad it never came out.
Well, yeah, I suppose the equivalent that would have popped up is the Ogren for, I think it was Vrax, had the Mutant Hounds as well.
Yeah. I do believe that something of the designs were reused for Necromunda at certain points, but I can't tell. I genuinely don't know.
Oh, just need to waterboard some Forge World staff members and eventually we'll get it.
Yeah, but other than that, I don't know much beyond the many cancelled projects that Forge World really wanted to do, but that's just never happened. There's hundreds of claims and rumors, but what I personally know and can verify myself, well, not shouting any names or tossing anyone under the bus for that, but that's all I know.
Look, Alan Bly came to you in a dream. That's all anyone officially needs to know.
He said I'm his guy. He said he needed me for his grand plan.
It's true.
Okay,
It's true. I saw it. I
believe
was
him.
there. I was there.
Yeah, you were.
You said it at the open day. You just didn't hear it.
True.
God, there's a few of those open days that were recorded, and it's like all the ones that I like desperately want information from weren't.
Yeah. Man, and it's such a shame that half of the stuff on the old Forge World TV YouTube channel got took down or got archived.
It looks like it's all been privated because there's some stuff with old links I can still get access to, so I think it's just privated for the minute.
Yeah, a good portion of it is. I think it's mostly Games Workshop doing a good amount of damage control surrounding Horus Heresy and original design schemes because of points vaguely in the Heresy 3.0 and the legendary F Pardo.
Yeah, I was looking for all the old Emperor's Children painting tutorials, and it looks like all of Duncan's stuff is basically gone.
Yeah, which is a shame. I recently got a whole bunch of Dark Eldar that I really want to paint as the venomous tongue, and I can't do that anymore because all the official painting guides that Duncan Rhodes did for that, like on the old every day he would do like 3 1-minute videos of how to paint an armor type. I don't know if you remember those.
I think I do. A way you can find them possibly is some people have put them in like playlists.
Oh yeah, true. So I should look through those.
You can scour through those and you'll find a few. That's how I found a few of the old Emperor's Children painting tutorials.
Yeah, because I need to do that. I need to find how to paint those, and I need to do it like soon.
One that annoyed me is the old Voxcast like interviews that they had. It looks like they've gone down.
Yeah,
I think they've put them on Warhammer Plus, possibly, but I'm not certain.
Honestly, probably. But I also wouldn't put it past them to just be completely removing them so that it wouldn't be used as ammunition against them later.
Yeah, what was it? When they messed up the squats, there was the James Workshop little video.
Oh yeah, that was funny. That was funny.
Completely vanished. I think you can only get those from reaction videos now.
Yeah.
Look, ever since the first 10,000 sonic weapons have been powered by scream gas.
Oh man, I forgot about that. That's an awful retcon.
I'm very sorry. Forget about it, but then I did the codex review and I was like, oh yeah, that bit of my script. I hate it.
Yeah. No longer the whimsical instrument of chaos.
It's no longer just a horrific instrument made by a composer that's filled with warp power and different things. No, that was straightforward. It was, it's like Warpstone. That was just too straightforward. No, we need extra shit for no reason.
So true.
And speaking on things you don't like, did Credence shoot your dog or something?
Actually, yes, he did. He shot every last of my 120 Tyrannid cats and dogs. The legendary Robin Cruddas, the cruddy one, or as some grogs know him, the Smearer. The man has a legendary reputation to grognards. The GW rules writer that you pray likes your army when he writes for them. Because if he doesn't, well, he nerfs them into the ground and it will simply never recover. Ask every Tyrannid fan, including myself.
Tyrannid fans? Why do you hate him so much? Tell me, Tyrannid fan.
First off, he was the first guy to give us the, quite frankly, awful Pyrovore, but moreover, downgraded us from the literally legendary Tyrannid 4th Edition Codex, where you could fully customize just about any one of the units, other than, like, the Lictor, into something hyper-specialized for what you want to play it like. You were the hive mind, and you got to build your perfectly adapted creatures of the Tyrannid swarms. It was great. It was really, really great. Unfortunately, Cruddas saw all of these options and said, I None of that. You just get weapon options and some meager biomorphs, and that's how it's going to be for the rest. No more playing the hive mind for you, little Tyrannid fan, because this faction doesn't have treads, and I can't be entertained, so I hate you and I hate this army. Suffer.
I can't believe you want the hyper-adaptive insect army to be hyper-adaptive. That sounds preposterous, really.
Yeah, no. Yeah, unfortunately, Tyranids had the most unfortunate treatment of them to occur. He did have another legendary shit fit with 6th edition Codex Eldar, which by all means was a really trash codex if it did ally in with But yeah, Kratos hates options. He just, if he sees an option, and if he sees multiple options that isn't for a faction, well, too bad, you don't get to have them. Mind, he only likes 2 factions, and that is Space Marines and Imperial Guard.
I heard specifically mechanized guard.
Yeah.
And if you're able to kill that, he did not like that very much.
Yeah. And every time he wrote for those codexes, guess what? They're the most broken codexes on the playing field. Namely, 5th edition Imperial Guard.
At least Ward would just make everything broken.
Yeah. Ward had the decency to make all of his, in his internal balance really fucking good. And all of his external balance between his codexes really good. With a bit of jank there. And it just never went up well against anything that wasn't written by Ward.
I've seen this opinion around, and I wonder if you'd agree with it. If Ward wrote a whole edition, do you think it would come out well?
Yeah, honestly, I do think it would come out well. It would be very, the best way to put it is shonen anime. Like, it would every fight would practically be like a million Dragon Ball Z battles at once, but it would be fun. You would just have to not read the lore too hard, or put your much brain power into what you read, because unfortunately for Ward, he is a very big fan of whatever he writes for, and usually takes favoritism or likes to add in his own little ideas here and there. Like, did you know the sanguinary guard wrist bolters? Did you know the bolt shells that they fire were in fact tipped with the crystalline blood of Sanguinius?
I feel like they'd run out real fucking quick.
Yeah, yes, literally. And that is the entire reason. That's the reason that he gave for those wrist bolters to have AP4.
Couldn't just make it like some weird armor-piercing variant. It's like, no, primarch blood.
He didn't need to say anything. It could have just been AP4.
So if a primarch like bled and they just like froze the blood, does that mean it could like just pierce a tank with it?
Yeah, so the Blood Angels have this thing of where they have this, like, you know, the chalice that Corbulo has?
Mm-hmm.
They have like this little vat, okay? Where they actually have kept some of the like coagulated blood of Sanguinius that they got off of the what's his name? Vengeful Spirit. Yeah, that they essentially have like a sacrifice ritual for, where to revitalize and essentially make sure that the purity of this lost remnant of their Primarch is still around, because it's said that small amounts of it can be used to heal incredible wounds, but also to potentially ward off the Black Rage from certain individuals, which is like how Dante gets to stick around.
Do you think if you took like his eyelashes and put it on a bolter, would it work better now?
It would probably become a mastercrafted bolter. Get a reroll a hit.
You know, the Primarchs, why didn't they just like get their toenail clippings and just make special ammunition or something?
So true. But yeah, they do have like this little reservoir of it where every century or so they get some hapless apothecary, and they just hook him up to it and more or less get Sanguinius' blood to flow through him so that it doesn't rot.
Oh, that sounds so fun. Yeah. I'm sure they have a great time.
The apothecary usually dies.
Skill issue, really.
Yeah, really.
But I bet Mephiston would live.
So true. So whoever types that in comments, so true. upvote this guy. He's
So
going to
true.
get Reddit silver.
Come on, not even Reddit gold. I get Reddit silver.
Dude, I can't afford Reddit gold, okay?
It's probably more valuable than gold.
Well, I mean, that's a different talk entirely.
Rooted updates. But I suppose, how do you think that Crudden sort of slipped away while Ward is still to this day quite infamous?
Ward. Okay, the unfortunate part for Ward is that he was too passionate. He wrote too hard and fast. He did too much all at the same time. He angered too many people all in one go. First he did it to Space Marines, then he did it to Necrons, which arguably I think he did a better job with Necrons and like fleshing them out, but there are very notable areas where he probably shouldn't have written that. And then notorious Blood Angels and Grey Knights. But the rage, so inspired by being the hapless victim of like playing a Phil Kelly or a non-imperial guard or space marine, like a non-imperial guard Crudus Codex against Ward is harrowing.
Say, so Crudden's, you would have an okay codex if he liked you, but if it was shit, you're when you're playing against it, it's like, okay, we have an okay codex I fight against, and then we have a bad one. I don't care.
Yeah, most of the codexes that he writes are quite mild, like decent at average. But if it's an army that he doesn't like, you get the legendary fights. Like there was one Bolter and Chainsword thread about how a guy was getting bodied playing 2,000 points of Tyranids versus 500 points of Matt Ward Grey Knight.
Oh, I think I recall saying this.
Yeah, it is a harrowing read for anyone who like even enjoys the concept of a balanced game and the idea of fun.
Do you think the effect of Ward, just for a small tangent, do you think the effect of Ward sort of caused the obsession with balance we see nowadays?
No. Funny enough, no.
Alright.
I think that is mainly due to Games Workshop trying to replicate the stuff that you see in like the video game industry, because it's very obvious in some cases that they're trying to follow certain trends in other industries.
I think they just straight up have there's certain board members that are just straight up from things like Hasbro and EA. I think there's an EA.
There is an EA member on
ex-employee that's in there now.
There's an ex-MTG developer on the game design board for games, and there's I can't remember. I do know that there's a former Hasbro design member that's a part of the marketing team.
This explains some things, really.
Yeah, it's insane.
Speaking on management, the death of the forums. You have a little theory about that, don't you?
Okay, well, people probably notice, but when you think about the Warhammer community, what do you think of?
I mean, there's everyone's favorite website, Warhammer Community, where they talk at you.
But is that an actual community? Is that a place where people can gather, talk, interact, share?
No, not in the slightest. If you are big on Instagram, maybe they will show your stuff.
Yeah, and okay, throwing this out there, but if you want to go somewhere and talk about your hobby and how you interact with it, where
Discord usually. Sometimes you'll post stuff on like a Facebook group. Maybe you'll go into the one individual Reddit group for the army you play.
So in that case, there's like 3 separate potential communities already set there in the places where you could go, instead of a centralized place where people could all interact. This is a problem that 40k and, well, the broader Games Workshop communities shares with the rest of the internet. Because once upon a time, there was a place called the Games Workshop forums. It was the place to talk with other people that played your hobby, that interacted with your hobby from around the world. TG was still mostly about cards and D&D horror stories back then, so the Warhammer community's online abode was the forum. The forum had sections to discuss books, army tactics, have arguments, show off minis, blah blah blah. Like all your viewers' favorite hobby discords, but the broad majority of the community that was online was there with you in the same place. Hell, I actually, real thing, had an argument with Aaron Dembski-Bowden over a certain thing that he put into one of his Night Lords. I know he still remembers this, and you can cry about it.
What was can I ask what the little thing was?
Okay, you know what? I'm not the greatest fan of his continuous playing on daddy issues in all of the books he ever reads, that he ever writes.
He has it's become almost a bit of a conspiracy theory that ADB has daddy issues himself because of it.
Yeah. I mean, the guy, I'm fairly, like, every single book that he writes, he brings up a massive problem with a parental, namely, the paternal figure in the protagonists, or like a good portion of the side character types. The only book that doesn't have this massive glaring problem is Hell's Reach, because it brought up like twice with Grimaldus, like looking at the statue of Rogel Dorn and wondering if he's proud of him, and otherwise Grimaldus is doing Grimaldus stuff.
Yeah, it's sort of in the area when it's like, oh, the primarchs, well, they're all dead and gone, really.
Yeah. That aside.
Actually, no, now he has the chance, because Dorn's probably going to come back at some point.
So true.
Now Grimaldus can have proper daddy issues as ADB intended.
Absolutely. And then one day, the devil himself decided that it was time for change for the Warhammer and the entirety of the Games Workshop online space. The great and terrible demon Kirby paid £1 million to redesign the GW web store, which, by the way, was an absolute scam. Like, the actual redesign of the web store was lackluster at best. It was awful and notorious for crashing. Like, the previous one that also hosted the web store plus the forum was significantly more stable. And so, the GW4 was axed. What did the online community do? It scattered. Notably, a good amount of people fled to TG to start up first K threads there. Many more went and started what's known as Bolter and Chainsword forums, and many other small ones popped up here and there. But from that point onwards, the Warhammer quote-unquote community has just become a bunch of scrabbling echo chambers, like Twitter, like Warhammer Twitter, Reddit Warhammer, TG Warhammer, Bolter and Chainsword Warhammer, are all very different interpretations of the same hobby, because it's now all isolated, echo chamberish, quote-unquote communities. I mean, they are communities, but they're not
the community.
They're not unified. They are all very different to each other, and it's kind of hard to believe that we all play and interact in the exact same hobby.
So you've got the divides of the site and the sort of mentality, but even then you have the divides again with the games.
Yeah.
Because an AOS player is not going to act like a Mordheim player, or a Heresy player, or a BFG player.
It's just become this fracturing of factionalism with the mix of, like, the falsely injected real-world politics plus echo chambers plus. It's a situation that the Warhammer community is no longer can really be called a unified community, because we don't have a space to interact as a unified group.
Do you think how big of an impact do you think it would be if the forums were still around?
I think, well, of course, they'd be heavily moderated, and you would be able to say the kind of things that I used to get away with. But I do think overall it would have drastically shifted the way and how Games Workshop would operate and how it would interact and treat its community. because of course you can always say as a community manager when you see like a few scattered Facebook and Instagram comments, and maybe in one Discord that you see like 5 people complain about all the exact same thing. Like, you can easily just push it aside as just a few dissenters, a few people who, humbuggers. But if there was a unified place where people could go to and voice all the exact same dissenting opinion to one item, too, is like, I bring this up as a mostly negative because negative opinions is usually what gets to accompany most. But if that was an available option to be pulled off as a community, I think our combined hobby space would be significantly better for all of us.
And another thing that has had a very drastic sort of effect on the community that many people don't think about would probably be the photo bucket.
Oh, poor photo bucket. Yeah.
Elaborate on that a bit.
Photo bucket was essentially an internet breaking disaster because it was the first free image hosting site that was wildly popular. Before forums could support or even have the memory capacity for everybody to put their shitty little reaction images next to their posts.
How dare you? Mine are amazing.
Yeah, I know, mine are amazing. I go through like TGA and I don't know, sometimes VG to get mine. They make some cool stuff. Millions, like quite literally, of photos of people, cherished games, and memories were lost. And that's not even including all the stuff that the 40k community lost. I personally kept the images of my brother, our group, and the battles that we had around 4th edition to 5th edition on photo. When it was purged, it broke my heart. Photo bucket was just... It was really easy to use, and because it had such a, like, at that point in time, it had a free, 3 gigabytes of space of images that you could keep on there, which at that time when you had like, I don't know, fucking a $10 camera, that was all you needed because your images were measured in like kilobytes. Yeah. But that's just me. Many people suffer the same thing where their miniatures, pictures of their cherished ones, memories of games, specific paint formulas, or scans of books, things that you can't even get anymore, posters, artworks, millions just lost.
You don't really hear a thing about it in this day and age. Blip.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of the people that were around for it have had enough time to get over it. It was just yet another tragedy in amongst tragedies.
Aye. But what year around would that have all come about?
That's actually a great question, because my mind wants to say 2010, but a gut part of me says,
It was one of the years.
Yes. The awful year of our Lord, 2011.
Not how bad.
That's when
it was one of them.
I had to do a quick fact check on a old forum for that.
Alright. Just available on Google, you gotta go that far.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose, would you find that like recording and archiving, like how much would that have affected it just alone? Because I think of Bando to a degree. He wanted to do a video going through pre-heresy armies, which were just armies before forgeworld ever touched Taurus heresy.
Yeah,
and he struggles. He can't really find a lot of it.
Yeah, no, most of that stuff you can only find on White Dwarf, like old White Dwarves now, because there were quite a few that showed like when what was that art book called? Visions of Heresy. The first edition of Visions of Heresy came. Many people were inspired by those to make conversions of stuff that they saw in those those experimental Horus Heresy ideas into miniature form. And a lot of those were shown off in like the 3-month White Dwarves around the time.
Well, the other source would have been the card game itself, wouldn't it? Because that was what they were. What was it? I think it was oh god, Sabretooth or something, I think came to them. They did the Horus Heresy game. You know, they had to get a whole load of artists in, and then John Blanche was overseeing them. And then after that, they did the Dark Millennium game, which they never did an art book for, and I'm very sad about.
Yeah. The Photo Bucket Purge did set us back in archiving stuff quite a bit, because we did keep like a lot of the single page or like 5-page campaign books that they used to do monthly in around the area of 5th to 6th edition. They would be like stores, specifically in England around the Nottingham area, would get like a monthly little campaign, send like a few vague ideas on a planet somewhere or a district in the Empire, blah blah blah, for fantasy and 40k. And that would sometimes have like really cool and like a named character or two that you could and a vague premise for 2 to 7 factions to be fighting, which were cool little things that you could just have like which I mostly stored on Photo Bucket that are now, well, I can't get those back.
Joyous.
Indeed.
And I know some 40 and 50-year-olds and hope they have it somewhere.
Yeah, I'd have to look in a bunch of second-hand markets and garage sales and so on.
Lovely. Just so much history, and it's just like, oh yeah, one app went down.
Oh, like, I mean, it would be equally as, like, devastating if the site mega.nz just blew up, like, overnight, like today.
Oh, the amount of stuff stored on that thing.
Yeah, I know, huh? It's essentially like the prehistoric, for all the Zoomers out there, the Photo Bucket Purge, the prehistoric version if Mega just got obliterated, or if work upload got obliterated.
It's hard to really fathom just how much it is. It's mad how little it's talked about.
Yeah, I do agree.
I'm supposed to move on to a bit of a possibly funnier section, possibly sadder section. What faction has benefited most from the lore expanding, and what faction has suffered the most because of it?
Okay, hot take because I'm going to start off with something hot take. I think Necron's benefited the most from lore expansion, because don't get me wrong, I love Terminators, the faction that was presented in 3rd edition. Really fun, really cool. You know what? It added like really grit to it. But I do believe that Matt Moore's interpretation of the Necron dynasty, just Tomb Kings into space, did breathe some more life into the faction, so that we could see more interesting units and moreover a bit more, a bit of a loaded term, diversity within the range.
Ooh, careful now, you can get us in trouble with that.
Oh yeah, YouTube's going to nuke this video because of that word.
I hear a lot of people claim, like, one way or another, it's like the Necrons were retconned, or it was all from a human's perspective, so it's not that they were retconned, we're just seeing them from another perspective. So I want to look into that at some point.
It's an interesting take because, technically speaking, both interpretations are still correct.
Yeah, because there are ones that have lost more of their soul, and ergo just are the robotic killing machines.
Yeah, I mean, Necron warriors, immortals, and RIP pariahs. I guess I can't use you as an example. But those
maybe Cesaric will bring them back. Who knows?
Haha, sure.
Maybe when Pariah Nexus ends, when we're all dead.
Yeah, when something finally happens, because nothing ever happens.
The Silent King got a whole book named after him, and apparently he's only in there for like 4 pages.
Oh man, don't even get me started. Just
it could be worse.
That's a Primarch problem all over again.
Sure, don't I know?
Yeah.
Hey guys,
but
I guess, like, Fulgrim dodged the getting the shit kicked out of him fucking stick that the rest of them got, but it's just like, he's just sitting there doing nothing.
I mean,
this much better.
Even it's got like that perverse Halo cloaca thing.
I love how no one picked up that it was a Halo because it's a fucking oval.
Dude, like, I have to be told that by you.
I had to be told it by the fucking creator of the model, because that guy just, I swear to God, he just fucking took shit out of his ass. It was like, yeah, I'll just do that, and I'll do this.
Absolutely. I genuinely think he just ran out of things to say and just started blabbering.
Yeah, I was like, oh, why is Fulgrim's hair up like that? And it's like, he's meant to look like he's underwater. Why has that ever been a thing with Fulgrim?
Yeah, and his eel-looking skin instead of being...
Yeah,
you
like
know,
at that start of the interview, it was like, oh yeah, one of the most important things about Fulgrim is like, this look and the fact that he's a snake. And then like, paragraph later is like, yeah, I didn't make him a snake, I made him an eel.
Yeah, which is actually, you know what, you can tell because his face, like his unhelmeted head, genuinely looks like some sort of demonic bottom-feeding sea serpent.
You would think there would be an even turbo, worse-looking demon head, but he specifically, the designer, didn't do that.
This designer specifically gave us a very impoverished meth head looking Fulgrim.
The thing is, I don't even know if he's meant to look like a meth head or if that's just fucking the heavy metal team just being the heavy metal team and making someone look 40.
Yeah. But there's a faction that has definitely suffered from expansion. It's 100% Eldar. Like, there's not even an argument that Eldar has. Every time they get more lore, the worse that lore gets. They went from like visually very watercolor, semi like a very natural shapes samurai artisanal warriors with a lore that was very rich Greek-like mythology with a very Hellenic society feeling to it, to a very shallow army of wannabe weebs. Like, I hate every moment of my life as an Eldar fan, knowing that Gav Thorpe wrote all the books that I can read for Eldar.
I think Guy Haley did one. I think he did Valador
Actually, no,
or
that's
whatever.
true. I mean, to be fair, it's the duo, it's the demon duo. It's either Gav or it's Guy.
Oh, don't worry. I think Mike Brooks didn't he do the Lilith Hesperix one?
Oh wait, that's you see. I'm not a Dark Eldar fan, okay? Dark Eldar fans can go suffer in their own little corner while I cry my eyes out about Votann.
But I thought you were all like the same faction now that Yunari's here. Oh wait.
Shut up.
Oh wait, Yunari's dead as a faction, isn't it? I forgot.
Yeah, they're literally described now as a fringe group of extremists. Word for word, by the way.
I find it so this big fucking change for the Eldar. They're finally getting some attention, and it's just like, oh no, what have we done?
Attention.
What have we done? Shut it down. Get all the characters out. Your brain can rot in there with the Vizark.
Yeah, and you know what? And they had to sacrifice, like, quite literally, one of the foremost reason why Eldar were still considered an actual military force in the galaxy, Votann.
Shattering of Votann, the Gathering Storm book people talk about the least.
It is awful. It deserves the least attention. Actually, in fact, it shouldn't have been written at all.
I don't know. One of the other books had your namesake just capture a Primarch and then not kill him.
Capture a Primarch and put him right next to the armory. And I wasn't even there. It was some schmuck that I've literally never... Some glub shitto.
I thought we loved glub shitto.
Glub shitto is great.
My favorite glub shitto, Jahar the Lacerator. It's the day I found out... Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean Abaddon's not the only one who did Black Crusade? And then the question of why isn't everyone doing a Black Crusade at this point?
My favorite glub shitto is Pertorobo.
Little known character. No one's ever...
Little known character of little importance.
Most popular faction in the heresy somehow.
No. Everyone knows that's the Iron Hands.
Yeah, I read on Warcom they invaded Talarn, didn't they?
Yeah, the Iron Warriors invaded Talon, which there's actually a really good book about it if you can find it, because
no. Warcom told me the Iron Hands invaded Talarn.
What? Wait, what?
Do you not remember that?
No.
It was one of their many little goofs. So the other one was like Remus Ventanus of the 8th Legion. And then it was the Talarn book, I think, for what was it, Legions Imperialis, and they were like, oh yes, when the Iron Hands invaded Talarn.
Oh, thank you, Warhammer community. Like, you know what? I'm not even surprised that they do blunders like this constantly, because they have like the same hiding practices that Halo Infinite had.
Do you remember the Death Guard trailer?
Oh, ooh. Yuck.
We are the 7th Legion.
No, you're not.
I think they took it down.
Yeah, actually, I do know that there are certain playlists that have it still up.
There was, I think it was Cat from the Outer Circle did a remix song for it, so the soundbite still exists.
That's so funny. The 7th Legion. No, shut up. You're the 14th. Cry about it.
What do you mean? It's Nurgle's number, so they have to be the 7th.
Cry about it.
I think that had to go through the scriptwriter. It had to go through whoever was approving the script. It had to go and be recorded. Then it had to be mixed and edited. Then that whole trailer had to be approved by someone else. All got through.
Yeah. Like, literally, you can't trust Warhammer community at all. It's just so filled with incompetence, or just people who don't actually know enough to pick up on simple mistakes like that. Because that is a simple mistake.
Since the first 10,000, there have always been mistakes in the Warcom editor.
Literally. 100% literally.
I need to make sure that I go back and copy paste all the Emperor's Children articles at some point, because they're all going to get nuked as well at some point. Just how Warcom is. I tell you, like, attempting to archive just from that alone. All the old stuff, it's fine because it's all in magazines. I try and do modern stuff and it gives me a headache.
You're telling me, huh? That archiving stuff is hard. Yeah.
We're basically the same, you know? I have to go on like the Wayback Machine and you have to go annoy boomers about magazines.
Literally me.
It's basically the same struggle, man. I don't know what you're on about.
Yeah, one struggle.
Do we not bleed the same?
Honestly, I'd much rather be harassing like boomers and grogs for like every pamphlet and scrap of fucking white dwarf paper that they have than be going through every Warhammer community post.
So I was trying to like track down stuff for Fires of Cyraxus. Do you know what I've kind of ended up doing is I went onto Twitter and I typed it in to search it, and I realized if I just go and see like every time that Leaky Cheese has mentioned it, I'm probably more likely to find it than like using GW as a source.
Actually,
like, find their own stuff for. Shout out to Leaky Cheese. Thank you. We'll see how that goes.
You know, shout out to Leaky Cheese. One day, I hope your cheese stops being so leaky and you can put it back in your pants, bro.
I wonder what the origin of the name was. We may never know.
Maybe it was a string cheese packet that was leaky in like his tin as a child. Okay, I can see it now. He's in the playground. He's playing with the other kids, and
no, he's playing RCBO 1 clearly. He's playing Rogue Trader.
Yeah. The string cheese packet in his pocket bursts, and it starts leaking in like one of those sweltering hot days, and he just gets mercilessly right over it. Okay. I can see it all now.
Hey, you can't prove that. Maybe he was the coolest guy in the playground after that.
No. Dude, if a fucking cheese packet bursts in your pocket, I don't think any 5 to 10-year-old is going to let you live it down.
Yeah, but then you just grab the cheese and you chuck it in their face. What are they going to do now?
Okay, you know, true.
That's how you assert dominance with violence. Just how children are.
That's how we as males make friends as kids. I throw a rock at your head, we both go to the principal's office, and now we're friends. It's
also how you tell girls that you like them at that age because you don't understand the emotions, so you just like throw a ball at them.
So true.
Look, they gave you attention that time, so clearly it's working out.
Clearly this works.
I got that 10-year-old Riz where it's just violence.
It's that feeling you throw bricks at random pedestrians' heads. It's just, you can't replicate it anywhere else.
Exactly. So speaking of old good, what's something new fans should be shown that isn't often talked about?
You know, we could raise the bar a bit after that Horus Heresy post of those Emperor's Children miniatures a while ago. But yeah, I think Games Workshop should start showing off a more easily replicatable and approachable style to their miniatures on their like thumbnails or box art or whatever it's called these days. But I say this because I don't believe that the heavy metal style is good. It's very oversaturated. It's just all highlights. Like, highlights are supposed to draw attention, define sharpness, but this it's just drawing my eyes everywhere.
Sure, it's not even like the armor panels. It's like the inside rim, like beside where the trim is, and it's like, how the fuck is there a highlight there?
You're highlighting the under armor that is literally barely even visible.
How is
what
the
are you
light
doing?
hitting it with such intensity? The answer is it
Yeah,
wouldn't.
it's bullshit. It's really bullshit. The heavy metal style usually also makes like the recent Cadian chick, like she got a miniature like 2 years ago that looked horrific because of all the highlighting that they
Ursula
did.
Creed, or is it? What was it?
Oh yes, Ursula Creed, that's the one.
I was thinking of what was it? There's the Black Library character who's gotten 2 models
The
at this
Minka
point.
lens.
Yeah, Minka Less.
The Minka one was less horrific than the Ursula Creed. Oh dear God,
I think
the Ursula
the new
Creed
Minka
model.
is better than the old one. I think the face was just.
Probably wouldn't be the first time.
I feel like they should just get someone specialist at this point, because it's a very common complaint at this point. Like,
Yeah, no, they can do
edge highlight everything and
gold.
just do the faces normally.
Yeah.
Because at this point, it's almost bad advertising, because people look at the faces and they think the sculpt's bad. It's like, no, particularly with a new painter, they probably don't have the paints thinned as well. You're doing every edge.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
here's a bunch of extra steps for you to go wrong.
Yeah.
It's almost cruel.
Oh man, I miss Duncan Rhodes' videos already. I mean, from Warhammer community, not that he isn't posting currently.
He hasn't died, everyone. It's okay.
It's all good.
He's still with us. He's still thin and pained.
Yeah. Two thin coats, brothers. Two thin coats.
Here's one that's a bit more fun. What's something that never had a model or rules that should?
Okay. Hrud. Easily the most notorious xenos species to preside in 40k, and they have never gotten anything to their name. There's a lot of others that deserve rules and models, but the Hrud is a legacy thing for 40k ever since Rogue Trader, and they have just never gotten a rule, a model, or anything of value other than showing up in one fucking Iron Warriors book and being a actually pretty decent chunk of the
Liber Xenology.
xenology. Yeah.
So my question is, do you go with the Ratman sort of implied design, or do you go with the insect design?
I go with the xenology design. I prefer it. To be honest, I can see the two designs coexisting, because it's not the first time that a naturally occurring species of the 40k universe to have drastically different subspecies designs.
Do you have any idea about like implementing the time powers?
Okay, well, funny enough, I had a discussion about it with the one and only Mr. Sawyer back in the day when
Anyway.
it was more of like a happenstance thing,
All right.
because it was one of the 2016 expos. He was just around. I can't remember exactly what I walked up to the guys and like, hey, I really like the stuff that you did with White Dwarf, blah blah blah. He was very nice about it. He had the time of day to like sit down and have a little chat. And I asked him, because if you didn't know, he was actually quite a big fan of Hrud. And I asked him, if you had to do Hrud, this is back in 2016, what would you do for their time altar? And what he pitched was essentially the Hrud having an aura
All right.
that would negatively impact the initiative and toughness and range stats of models and weapons that go into that area.
So would it be something like the Horus Heresy Alpha League rules, where it's like the rules have to act as though they're like 2 inches further away?
More like a weapon that's shot at a Hrud would count as that isn't within 6 inches would count as 1 strength less, and models that are within 6 inches of a Hrud model would have -1 initiative and toughness.
Okay.
At least that's what memory speaks of on that part.
It's a decent enough representation of it without just being busted.
Yeah, I also thought that, and you know what? At that point in time, that was a genuinely unique take. You could have made an entire army with that thing. Unfortunately, Death Guard have taken that debuff or
Yeah, it's
gimmick.
weird, because I kind of started off with Death Guard and they were very much the tough army, and now they're not really the tough army, they're the debuff army. Weird.
Somehow, they're not the tough army, despite being T6 now.
It's bizarre. I don't know how they managed it.
I don't know how you went from accurately representing plague marines by having them be T5 and 1 wound to not being able to accurately represent plague marines at 2 wounds at T6.
I think it's just the lethality of the game. Really, it's like even if they had kept them how they are, it's just the game's gotten that lethal. Would it have just killed them?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree.
It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna make everything tougher, and it's like, okay, we made everything tougher. Guns gotta go up. Like, okay, we put the guns up, but now everything's dying too quick. Stick rerolls and everything. Okay, we took rerolls and everything. Now things aren't dying enough. Make it more killy.
It's a problem. It's a self-replicating problem that they've been doing for ever since 8th edition now.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of coming to a head at this point. I think a lot of people are kind of pushing for rerolls to just get yanked because the games just go on too long.
Yeah, I still play 4th edition a lot. In fact, it's my main edition that I play these days. Like, a reroll in 4th edition was quite rare. The most common kind of reroll that you could find was the twin-linked reroll hit, which usually cost your ass points. Would either be found commonly on combi bolters for chaos, right? For twin shooters for orcs, and the various imperial/vehicle weaponry that gets to have twin weapons, and that's usually where you found it.
I think I forget if it was Heresy or 40k that finally got rid of it for combi stuff.
I think it was 40k because twin linked in 40k now is reroll. Or actually, no. Heresy 3.0 now has a bunch of Bravos weapons instead of having twin linked ones.
Yeah, so I think it's just the guns are 2-shot and they get no reroll. I think that's it.
Cringe, but it's the 8th edition and 9th edition also did that, so whatever.
It's incestuous, it's self-replicating, it's going everywhere.
So true. Not my edition, not my problem.
True enough. People talk about new lore, and it's like, I'm back researching 3rd edition at the minute. I'll get to it later.
So true.
It'll be my problem eventually, but not now.
In a decade from now.
So many. I was kind of taken aback at how much GW publications just skyrocketed in 3rd, because it increased a bit with 2nd, and then 3rd goes mad. A fucking magazine for everything. And in some cases, 2 magazines for things, and then they have all the novels suddenly coming out.
Yeah. There was one. It was a guard book. It was something like 15 hours. That's very notorious and very good.
Heard good things. I don't know if the book states that the guard will on average live 15 hours, or if it's just people took the book and then just misconstrued it.
Oh, so it says the average expected lifespan of a guardsman within that specific war that the guardsmen were being deployed to, because the protagonist goes to an arms master and he wants a helmet. The master looks at him sideways and says, how many hours have you been here? And the protagonist is like 15 minutes. I was like, oh, bro, you got lost here 15 hours. Important as a helmet. So he gives him a little cheap watch ticking down to his 15th hour. I'm
sure he has a lovely time.
Oh yeah, it was awful. Orcs.
Oh, that's the funnest of enemies.
Yeah, every time.
The sort of jokiness of them, I think people just get sort of blinded to. The orcs are horrific.
Orcs are awful. You don't want to be near an orc.
They're simply vile. I think Rin's World does a decent job of showing it.
Rin's World does a really good job. But you know what does also a very good job of describing orcs? Warhammer Fantasy. Because the difference between 40k orcs and fantasy orcs is that one can make guns and the other can't. The rest is entirely the same.
Yeah, it's just, they might as well be. I won't say feral, but they're in that technology era.
They are barbaric, animalistic savages.
There's one scene in Rin's World where it's just this father attempting to protect his family, and what the orc does, it just bats his weapon aside, grabs him, and dunks him in a fire to burn him alive.
Yeah.
And all the orcs behind him are just giggling about it because they think it's funny.
Yeah. Orcs to other orcs are the funniest thing ever, but anyone else witnessing an orc doesn't want to be near them.
Yeah, they're not like your funny buddies from up the road. They're horrible, evil, sadistic things.
Yeah, they are terrible. You can't communicate with them, you can't interact with them. Like, on any level, like, the only ones that you can are considered abominable social outcasts of their people, and will only interact with you for the great wealth, or what they consider wealth, which usually would end up with them taking said wealth, usually armaments or teeth, and using it to kill you at a later stage.
So I suppose on the topic of misconstrued things, what are the biggest lies about the lore that the community pushes?
Okay, first up, the Black Legion being cool, complete lie. The Black Legion are for gay babies. It's sucky doo-doo. Next, well, we've already gone over orcs. Orcs should not be considered, like, I don't mind, like, orc perception, like comedy, or when you're reading about, there's like a really legendary story about an orc war boss who accidentally gets sent back in time to find, and he finds out that he sent like back in time right next to his own ship, so he boards it so that he can kill himself. He's essentially like the clone of himself to get a second copy of his favorite gun. Okay, that's funny. Like, orc perception, like, stories like that, very funny, very cool. However, that shouldn't be the only perception. We should see the rest of it. We should see how humans look at orcs. The storm boy barreling through the smoke, like a raging green gorilla with a gun and a melee weapon that's mostly made out of scrap metal, barreling out of the sky with a rocket strapped to it at Mach 10.
Not ideal at all.
Not a very cool time. But another thing is, on the topic of old one created species, eldar physiology.
They shit crystals or something.
So true. No. Eldar, like, is done by people who have actually read Liber Xenology. Eldar do not look anything like how they're commonly portrayed. Hell, even in, like, they're portrayed in the Alcac games. Eldar, if you didn't know, have pitch black eyes. Their faces tend to be like, it's I would say on a common basis, 50 to 70% longer than us with extended jaw lines. They have quite shark-like teeth in many cases.
As in they're overlapping or they're sharp?
They're sharp and overlapping.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, but not only that, but they also have 0% body fat. In fact, a good amount of their entire body mass is just made up of spring tautened, like, and you get my meaning there. Muscle. Eldar are not anything like the animes that they're usually portrayed as.
They're not kawaii anime girls.
Sorry, Gav Thorpe. Sorry, Guy Haley. You have horrifically misconstrued just how horrific the Eldar actually are. If you put an Eldar next to a human, you would be able to tell the difference from a kilometer away.
I think it's Commissar runs a bunch of 40k RPs on occasion, and whenever the Eldar show up, he always pulls out the Liber Xenology head. It's like this weird fish-eyed looking thing. It's like, this is what you see.
It's a good. I hope he does it more often, because that is genuinely such a disservice to a really cool, porting over of elf aesthetic and idea into a very grim, dark sci-fi setting. Having them not even be anywhere close to the Tolkien or even the Warhammer fantasy look.
You know, the way the Eldar were different from the elves themselves, that also sort of sold, because the warp's connected. Fantasy elves are going to get affected by whatever they're doing, really.
Fantasy elves look a lot more like Tolkien elves, which is essentially just humans but taller with ears.
Yeah.
And they have very Eldar and the High Elves have very similar cultural bases and mythology and certain aesthetic choices but they couldn't be further from each other in how they actually look like.
They've diverged quite a bit. Maybe in like Rogue Trader or something, there was more similarities as it's evolved.
Well,
Who's the
arguably,
main
I'd say
artist
that
for him?
it evolved and then devolved.
Yeah, blanking on the name of the artist. He did a lot of the not Jez Goodwin.
Yeah.
Like he would have overseen quite a bit of it, how they've changed and developed.
Which, by the way, if you like Jez Goodwin's Eldar stuff, I highly recommend looking at Jez Goodwin's Tyrannid stuff.
Oh, his sketchbook stuff's mad.
Yeah, he's demented, and that's like the best thing.
Personal question then. If an Eldar is caught in a prison, could they use their own crystal shit as a shiv?
Probably. You know what? Personally, I'd grind it down and try to suck math.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me if there's just some planet where they're just like, oh yes, we bring these valuable ancient crystals to you, and it's like in their own heads, they're like, the Monkai is buying our excrement. This is funny to me.
Yeah, they would be.
I'm almost surprised
gas
it hasn't been a little plot offhand thing at some point.
Yeah. Another thing that I thought was a big lie that's pushed, but I personally don't like the primarchs being back in the 40k setting.
I think that's a very, I won't say it's popular, but it's, you know, it's a common enough sort of sentiment.
Because first off, it ruins game balance, like fucking hell. Your illusions of this hyper powerful, essentially demigod just getting shattered by, I don't know, 20 guardsmen. 20 guardsmen who got shouted at by a guy in a black, completely bodying Guilliman. That very much shattered your perception of a Primarch. But also, they just don't do anything. I think Guilliman's the only one that has actually done anything notable in the setting.
The Lion sorted out the Fallen, I guess, and then...
No, dude, the Fallen was barely even a plot point that was being played upon.
No, this is me struggling to find something. And then he beat up Angron, and then that's it.
Hey, you forgot that Fulgrim is back, and Magnus.
Magnus, he made his Planet of the Sorcerers. I think he's got a little kingdom where he invites psychers from the Psychic Awakening in. He sent off the guy in Space Marine 2 to try and get Calgar, and then that failed.
Yeah, very
he
much
fucked up Fenris, but Fenris is kind of just fine now.
The entire thing of him killing Fenris has never been brought up again. Even specific, books about Fenris that have recently come out, the most you see is oh no, there's 3 Zinch cultists somewhere on Fenris that our protagonist has to go and shoot, and they die. It's over.
Yeah, you know, it could have been a way to sort of implement them getting the Primara successors, I guess, because it's okay, Fenris is gone. We can't recruit here. We got to figure out something quick.
Fenris is dying. Need to leave. But that would be cool and a good idea. So that couldn't happen.
That would have consequences for the action.
Yeah, the Lion waking up and dealing with the problem against Legion. Technically speaking, he did the latter, but personally speaking, he shouldn't have done the former. I think he should have just stayed asleep. Angron,
just leave them all asleep.
Angron's Angron. To be fair, I don't think he could do much anyways.
Angron, they've just kind of made him a force of nature from what I can read from his novel.
Which is a good enough characterization, but I just also don't think he deserves to be back in a powerful way. He's done very little, even in the way of being a force of nature.
Yeah, there was a strike force of Grey Knights that gave him a bunch of bother. I think you need a bit more than just that little strike force.
Considering the last time he showed up, he had an entourage of 8 greater demons of khorne during the first war for Armageddon, and they needed practically the entire chapter to deal with. So now, 5 Grey Knights can now deal with somehow.
Hey, one of them was in a Dread Knight, and he tried to mano him, and then he got thrown into space.
Okay, good. That's funny. That's actually kind of funny.
Yeah, I wish he wasn't kind of main character for most of the book, because half the book is about Cyraxus and him sort of taking power over the world leaders and the Conqueror, and that's kind of interesting. And then the other half is just about this boring Grey Knight who has a shard of, I think it was Angron's sword in him, and that gives him a weird connection of sorts. And now he wants to go fight Angron himself because he was one of the few survivors when they first fought him.
Yeah, and the last bit that's a usual lie that's actually said to the community is that the Imperium is an organized empire.
Oh
Far
god,
from the
that's
truth.
an absolute lie.
The Imperium resembles the Holy Roman Empire and its papal state systems. I mean, the worlds of the Imperium are aligned by two things: a sweared loyalty to the throne and sweared loyalty to the Emperor. Each planet is self-governed, and sometimes they are like this. It's like each planet is their own little entity, and sometimes those own little entities are governed by a bigger bully somewhere else. These planets pay their tithes so that they can call upon the aid of the Imperium, and to act as tribute to the person that allows them to continue to survive. The Imperium, the Emperor of mankind, which is exactly what occurred during the Papal States period, is all the little kingdoms, princedoms, and dukes pay the Holy Roman Emperor, and in exchange for that payment, the Holy Roman Emperor protects their places. Easy.
I think it was an interview of Blanche where he said that a mistake that a lot of people make with 40k is they think it's like a World War II in space or something, but it's medieval.
Oh, it's Dark Ages, medieval at best. Yeah.
I think it was specifically talking about the Imperial Guard. You know, it applies to really just the Imperium in general.
Yeah, I mean, even when it comes to the Adeptus Mechanicus, the Mechanicus are allied. They're so close, but they're so closely allied to the Imperium that it's really where one ends and the other one begins. Same thing goes for like the 500 worlds. Technically speaking, the 500 worlds, the entire realm of Ultramar, is an entirely separate empire that is allied to the Imperium, mainly due to, heritage. So, yeah, those are the lies. To stop the lies about that's the community.
It's time to lay down the Lex.
So true.
Alright, next question. What's a franchise 40k hasn't stolen from but should?
Riddick.
Riddick?
Yeah, the Riddick films. The Riddick trilogy, much like Aliens, it has the starting one being horror, the second one being action, and the third one being bad and forgettable. But it does pose some very interesting sci-fi aesthetics, questions, and ideas that 40k can definitely steal from and potentially do better. Even though the second Riddick film has a faction known as the Necromongers, which definitely not the director's OC do not steal 40k faction.
I was about to say.
Yeah, I love the Necromongers. They have such a fucking badass aesthetic.
I fucking love the names. Like, what are we gonna call them? The Necromongers.
Just peak. I can already see an entire Space Marine chapter design just around the name Necromonger. I mean, we already have like Necropolis Hawks and the Mortifactors.
I mean, you could make him like a Raven Guard or Night Lord successor. You know, you tie that into the whole Seeing in the Dark stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that there's a lot of ideas that are posed by the Riddick franchise, or at least themes and concepts that could be stolen by 40k and have a really good time with it.
Is there any like one in particular one where you're like, that one needs to be in?
Honestly, I fucking love the Razor Wrap from the first film.
Alright.
It is like because in my personal opinion, 40k has had emphasis on the opponents of 40k has shifted from xenos being the biggest, essentially the biggest and most common threat, to chaos being the bigged and most common threat.
Yeah, the Great Rift has sort of sucked a bit of the air out of the room.
I would like to see more horrific, alien, strange xeno species out there. 40k has a ton of them. I just want to see more of them. Like the Quarrel. Where's the Quarrel?
Right on the doorstep.
Quarrel.
You think they'd have something to do, but no.
Considering that they were built up for the years of it before xenology came around. But too bad. I guess Kirby just knew too well that the Quarrel would never sell. A Xenos faction? No.
I mean, no one bought Tyranids when they were redone in 10th, right?
Absolutely not. Nobody bought the redos of the Dark Eldar in 5th edition. Nobody did.
I mean, when the Eldar just came out just recently, those didn't sell. No one wants them.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Not a single one. I don't think I've ever seen an Eldar player. I've definitely not seen like 2 or 3 of them locally.
Yep, definitely. I've never seen myself in the mirror, therefore,
No, look, for the last like 2 hours, I've not been talking to anyone. It's just been a figment of my imagination.
You need your meds, bro.
Look, I have the power of audio editing. I can make it true. I can just mute you or something. And whenever we talk at the same time, I'm just gonna have to mute myself. So it sounds like I'm randomly just talking and jumping from one topic to another. So, thoughts on the Amazon deal?
Okay, I'm a bit skeptical about it. It mainly comes down to who's in charge and how much, the grubby little paws of Games Workshop gets into it.
Do you think it's even gonna happen? Because it's been 2 years?
I mean, look, unfortunately for all of us, the Halo show that recently dropped and flopped was in 10 years of development after the deal originally being signed. So
you
even
didn't like Master
projects
Cheeks?
No, I don't like Master Cheeks.
You don't like Cortana?
Oh, Cortana. Oof, what a shame. I just don't.
10 years, baby, 10 years.
Different thing entirely.
Mm.
But I have the same amount of skepticism for this Amazon deal that I did for the Halo deal. I first heard about it quite a few years ago. This really all depends on the team that's directing it, how much Games Workshop gets to influence it, and whether or not I get to fit and actually get to see something good.
Do you think it'll be considered fully canon from the outset, or do you think that GW will sort of, like Space Marine 1, sort of be like, maybe it's a different universe, who knows? And if it's
Don't
good,
forget their famous quote, "Everything is canon."
Oh, true. I've already got that covered, I suppose.
Yeah, it's. Hey, dude, if you don't like that show, you will not be missed.
What do you think they'll end up going with in terms of story?
Okay, well, because there's 2 ways to go about it. They're either a TV serialization of the Dawn of Fire series of books, which is where my mind goes for inspiration, where they could trying to fiddle around with 40k. Or they're going to get Dan Abnett or Sandy Mitchell and do either Gaunt or Kane.
Okay.
Because it all depends whether Games Workshop wants to put Marines in the center or not.
Yeah, and the budget goes right up when those boys are involved if you want to do them well.
Yeah.
Particularly in live action. Like animated, everything's doable, but live action.
Live action is going to be CGI hell to do.
Half of it's going to be animated anyway, which is why I'm sort of just animate half the thing if you're going to do Space Marines. Animate the whole thing.
Because if they do Gaunt Ghosts or Kaifas Kane, you can easily pull it off without having to do Space Marines and still accurately represent 40k with a very human baseline to it.
I feel like they might want to go with Kane purely because it's a bit more lighthearted, bring in general audiences.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a thing to see.
I suppose Abnett's got a bit more of a pull and sway than Mitchell. They could be pulled in that direction. They could want a sort of more gritty sort of showing for it. Really depends.
Yeah, it really depends on the directors and Games Workshop's grubby little paws.
What would be the equivalent, do you think, if in the worst case scenario, what do you think is the equivalent of Master Cheeks and Cortana?
Actually, it's literally recreating Dawn of Fire. It would actually literally be showing a Fade to Black scene for Gilliman and Yvraine. That would be awful, especially if Yvraine is showed off to be the modern, more anime-esque elf, Eldar style.
Oh, she'll be a buxom anime elf.
God, I hope not.
Oh god, I can see it. That's the worst bit. I can see it.
Well, there's been more than enough images of it drawn already. Thank you, Tumblr.
Enough for it to be, because when you get a bad writer that doesn't care about series much, but they'll still see it as memes. So
thanks, M. Night Shyamalan. You did great with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
How terrifying.
That was awful.
And a more uplifting note, opinions on the death of fantasy and the birth of AOS, and its magnificent brainchild, Alan Merritt.
Okay, well, first off, Alan Merritt, the guy has done some really great work for Warhammer and to the community over the years, but I do think he fumbled pretty hard with AOS. Fantasy was being very poorly handled, and they were flatly idiotic to believe that fans of practically 30 years would take the death of fantasy flat. Like, no argument, no complaint. They would just roll over.
I think
AOS? AOS has its merits. But, however, those merits are so underutilized and underdeveloped that it's actually just shameful. Because it's more or less the MacGuffin, the setting. Every story is centered around some MacGuffin or some like a local BBEG. It's like reading a discount Warhammer fantasy mixed with a D&D story each time I've had to interact with it.
Have you continued with the Gotrek and Felix storyline into it?
I actually have, much to my shame. I dropped halfway through the Nurgle one that happened just before the most recent one because I was practically bored to tears. Somebody summarized it for me, so then I went on, which I did practically the exact same thing, which is about Skaven.
The Skaven one bored you?
Yeah, the Skaven one wasn't particularly interesting, mainly not because of the Skaven. The two Skaven characters were good, but because I don't think... Gotrek's characterization in the books has been getting... Gotrek worked because Felix was there. Without Felix, it just becomes every time he comes, like, quote unquote, makes a development as a character, it feels shallow and it's no longer the same. You read Gotrek and Felix.
I read up to the last book. The only things I haven't read are like the short stories for fantasy and Serpent Queen by Josh Reynolds.
Road of Skulls, I highly recommend, and Hammer of the Storm God.
I've done those two.
Yeah, the Serpent Queen one is a hit or miss. It's take it or leave it.
Look, I just want to find out why Khalida wants to bang Felix. I want to understand the meme at this point.
Well, who doesn't want to bang Felix?
Well, look, if you think about it this way, she's kind of perfect for Felix because she's already dead, so she's not going to die.
Yeah, just like Ulrika.
I didn't read like any of the Ulrika books when I had gotten to her ending, so I was just like, oh, Ulrika, you're just fucking vile, aren't you?
Yeah, the Ulrika books are interesting. I see them as better standalones than actually being tied to Ulrika Magdova. Yeah,
but she last appears in what was the doing favors for the vamps? Manslayer. I think it was Manslayer.
Oh yeah, that's it.
And then you go to this book and she's like kind of aged into vampirism a bit. And she just admits at the end, was like, yeah, I would have turned your wife and murdered your child. And I wish I did it.
Amazing. Yeah. Good old Ulrika.
What a vile woman.
Absolutely. But to AOS, the launch of... I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the launch of AOS, which was an abomination of note. It was spiteful. It thought it was funny. It thought it was corny. It was just not... Like, I genuinely think that I think it was like a spiteful attempt to try and take that like really hyper-focused nature, or that like really in-depth and crunchy nature of fantasy that drew people in and twisted on its head by just making it really, really shallow, but have hyper-specialized rules for specific things.
I think it was two other things. If you listen to people who were working at the time, what you'll hear is that GW thought they could just sell the models and no one really cared about the game. They thought everyone is here for the model. Models are great. We're a model company, don't you know?
Yeah.
And I think to a degree they were trying to tap into the more jokey, silly sort of things you'd see off Priestley on occasion.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Priestley mixed that in with the actual darkness of the set. It wasn't just the jokes and that's it.
An orc burning another orc alive so that he can witness the Bernie dance. You know, it's the Bernie dance humor. Incinerating another person of your own species alive just to witness that, though. Yeah, it's like that it kind of plays into why they so heavily overcorrected for 7th edition 40k, especially at the end of it, is that it kind of really caught up with them when they realized for 40k, oh, we can't do the we're just going to sell you more and more mods scheme like that was happening for detachments and most of 7th. So they hurriedly try to wrap that all up and put quote-unquote more care and quote-unquote listen to the fan base more rules, which is where we got 8th edition and everything.
Right.
And
you also had like in order to try and fix AOS, GW sort of brought the comp community forward in quite a bit.
yeah.
I do wonder how much that affected 8th.
So Alan Merritt, he had a great conceptual design here, but didn't have the time, or he just got ruled out by committee to turn it into the like really ghetto-ish high fantasy that it is now. But there's also the other fact that fantasy had to die for this thing to come to being, which was
that was always gonna rustle feathers.
Yeah, because despite like it is just as a one example for mismanagement of the use of the resources and ideas that AOS has to use, there's all these realms and all of that. And unfortunately, we only get to see exactly one major city from each of them that is used as like a plot beat whenever you go to any of those realms. And more importantly, there's been a station from Games Workshop, one place in Aquashy, the fire plains or some shit like that, where you just a good amount of things are just set around there, and that's it. It's undercooked. It really needed more time in the oven, and to actually properly think it through as a Warhammer setting.
Do you think it could get there one day, or they're just sort of like too fuddled to begin with as a foundation?
They are trying. However, they are really, really desperately trying to cover up their comedy like early years. Mm-hmm. New Lamia comes to mind. And yes, you heard that right, kids. Nulamia. New Lamia.
Is that full of the Sneck women, I wonder?
Yeah, I wonder who lives there. Thank you, Morathi. No, I'm joking. It's actually what's his name?
Her son, or
no. It's shit. This is a vampire queen. Fuck, I forgot her name.
Is it the one that's half a dragon?
No. It's a dragon. Oh shit. Now I need to search it up.
All the vampires I know would have died in the end times. I'm just like, I'm lost.
Not Manfred. Fuck off.
One of the Von Karsteins then. Elizabeth?
No. It's not Elizabeth. It's god damn it. Neferata. There we go.
Oh, that'll do it.
Neferata. Fuck, I hate Neferata. I never remember you.
I don't think anyone does. They do
so
because
true.
they have to.
So true.
They're obligated to for like retelling the lore, and that is all.
Yeah. Poor Arkan.
Gone, but forgotten. So it's tying into missed opportunities. What are some of the most interesting plot lines GW's just dropped?
Yeah. So the things that come to mind is recent to open Olanius Bias, like, you know, being a guardsman that stood in front of the emperor on the vengeful spirit, the death of innocence.
No, that sounds too straightforward.
That should have been in the end of the death, and instead we got this stupid cop-out. Thank you, Dan Abnett, I'm gonna strangle you. Then there's the many threatening Xeno empires that were being built up around the 3rd to late 4th era that just got dropped, like Hrud, Quarrel, Rockgull, so on and so forth, which could have been really fleshed out and actually have the potential to be really cool armies, but just never followed through.
I mean, I sort of look at how people talk about Tau, where it's like, oh, how are these things even alive? You know, the Imperium killed them all in the heresy. It's like, no, it's not entirely true.
Yeah.
Here's all this stuff. It's just not told about it anymore, really.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many Xenos factions out there. Like, even there are like 30 different. I mean, a great example is the Torellian. Torellians have been around since second edition. They've had mention everywhere. Hell, they even are mercenaries for the. But you know what? You only get to see them in like the Fantasy Flight RPGs, and that's it. No army, no Tyrellian dog soldier, nothing. And many others. Like there's a few ones that were split about, like the Slith apparently being a descendant of the Lernaeans.
Yeah, I think the last time I read about them was just like there was some emperor's children working with the fallen, and there was like a group of sort of Slith worshipping them.
Yeah, and you know what? We never got a follow through on the Slith being devolved Lernaean.
Yeah, I think that's just been sat on and not touched ever since. I don't think we've really gotten any developments for them outside of just they're there.
Yeah, and many such examples. I mean, oh, thank God they haven't touched the Ghoul Stars, because at least those are still cool.
I think isn't Dark Heresy kind of touching on it, but that's really just all the stuff in that book. It's already been established.
Yeah, it's Outcast just taking everything that's in that book and one-to-one copying it, plus a tag on story so that you can romance an astropath.
Look, I've not seen any like many waifus for the new ones. They must be hiding them.
Absolutely.
Been a lot of men. Not sure about this. Where's the cute women?
No, I think I'll just look. All I'm saying is, if I can't get to romance a horribly like Habsburgian decrepit magister, like in Rogue Trader, I don't want it.
I need her to just be like just a bit of an abomination, but slightly endearing to me specifically.
Exactly. This guy gets it.
She can be horrid to everyone else and absolutely disgusting, but no, just needs to be endearing to me as a person.
So true. You know what? I 100% agree with you. Same struggle.
They just don't get it.
And you know what? Like, I know I am usually considered in various groups that you probably know of. Oldhammer, the person. But I do like one idea that the Cicatrix Maledictum. It's a great idea. It's a really great idea. The galaxy being... That puts real pressure on everybody in the galaxy to either make the most of the situation or to try and solve the problems that it caused. Unfortunately, the Cicatrix Maledictum has done sweet fuck all for the galaxy as a whole. It feels like nothing has changed at all.
Warp travel is hard. It was already hard. Demons can randomly appear. They already randomly appear. Warp storms are happening all the time. They were already happening all the time.
What do you call the Eye of Terror, or the Maelstrom, or the oh, there was a few other ones, but that's not the point.
Look, you need a hall pass or something to get from one side of the galaxy to the other, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Also, I'm pretty sure there's the webway could probably just circumvent it. How many factions have found a way into that at this point?
Yeah, I know. It's actually, funny enough, more and more books over the past 3 years have just mentioned, oh yeah, the protagonist has now found... Yeah, that's very cool. Thank you, random author.
Obviously, I think in with the Custodes book, the way they interact with the Dark Eldar is just webway. You know, that's Dark Eldars, of course. The Eldar, of course, have it. The Tau, they're not even allowed to have FTL. I don't know if they're in the conversation yet. Chaos has gotten into it
many times.
Yeah, then I'm pretty sure the Imperium has methods in it at this point, particularly with the allying with the Eldar. It was like, oh no, the Cicatrix Maledictum was like, there's 50 fucking ways around it. And then you have like weird items that exist in the novels, like the three-way door from the Ravenor book.
Oh yeah. Oh.
That thing is so incredibly just powerful in the right hands. I'm surprised it's just sitting there and we've never heard anything else. Like Gilliman, if we get like a really good psyker, we can just go back and you can save your dad or something.
Nuh-uh. I wouldn't do that. Shut up.
Oh no, you never do it. But it's just like, that's something it puts on the table. That's the potency of this little item. Never been touched again.
Yet another MacGuffin.
There's probably a reason he blew it up at the end of that book. It's just too strong.
Yeah, just like the Scrolls of Magnus and the Dimensional Keys. Like, the Dimensional Keys is like quite literally what good old Ahriman uses to break into the webway so you can find the Black Library.
Of course, you've got the Necrons, like, map of the universe where it affects it in real time. So it's just like, it's stuff that's just that powerful that it's like, you can't touch this.
Yeah.
You reasonably can't. It's like, oh yeah, we basically give Ravenor a TARDIS. We gotta destroy it because we know that's too much.
I I remember a point in time where the Blackstone fortresses were considered the most dangerous thing in the entire unit.
Remember Planet Killer? Remember that when that was a big deal?
Oh man, I can't believe Planet Killer got fucking, like, literally hounded to death by 3 lunar clocks. That is the funniest thing ever.
Obviously, I think it was Execution Hour, or maybe that's the name of the sequel, but it was like Gothic. It was like Gothic War era novel from Third Ed.
Yeah.
And Planet Killer is this fucking horror on the horizon that's just like, it's the ticking clock. And once it arrives on your planet, that's it. There's nothing you can do. It's just death.
It's game over, man. Game over.
And it's hyped up as like Abaddon's like horrific war weapon, and it's like alluding, like at the very end, it's like, oh, what's Abaddon's secret game at Blackstone Fortresses? And I just think, wow, that went nowhere.
Yeah, because he took the Blackstone Fortress, and then he just fucking threw it like a kid.
Like a child. And it's like, you could have just done this with a big asteroid like the orcs do.
Yeah, you could have just done this with the fucking moon.
Yeah, why didn't you just make, like, just strap a bunch of, like, just get a big bunch of asteroids, strap some rocks to it, and just chuck it at Cadia? Obviously, didn't they try and fire it at the world and the shield? Just, I don't think that's the thing you want to establish. Just say it's not, just make it so it's closing in, but it's just not quick enough yet. You know, all the other forces got there first, and it's on the way. So is that all your favorite plot lines that have vanished, or?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the amount that I'm allowing.
Fine. Be like that. You know, we can keep going for another 4 hours. Thoughts on Tom Kirby and his amazing letter?
Oh, you're so happy I showed that to you, aren't you?
It's so funny. It's like it's got such overconfidence in it, and to be wrong every step of the way.
Yeah, it literally shows just how truly demonic and absolutely deranged of a creature Kirby was. I mean, like, of course, the biggest takeaway from it is that Kirby has is absolutely zero business practice. Even on a fundamental level, he does not know how to run a business. And somehow he pulled it off to quite literally turn Games Workshop from the company that was successfully built by gamers for gamers into the soulless, lifeless, regurgitating husk that it is today, and somehow spending getting small African nations into debt amounts of money and still somehow keeping this.
I think it's literally just the CEO position swapped hands before he could properly sink it. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Because it's very clear that GW is like trying to become an IP farm, basically. And Kirby would not have had the foresight to do that.
Yeah, I think that's mostly thanks to Kirby's utter demolishment of the integrity and the guard of the of Games Workshop when he came into power.
Like, could you imagine imagine Kirby in charge of the company when 3D printing is as good as it is? He'd probably be shitting himself.
I mean, the fucker had the balls to say that 3D printing wasn't good enough to make a miniature a day back in the year of our Lord 2012.
Physically impossible. And that it would never, ever be a threat to them.
Look it up. This is his famous words. Quote unquote, look it up.
Yeah, he's like, oh, we're the top of the industry. No, you know, nothing could ever touch us. Oh, 3D scanning our models, that could never happen. You look around now and they're all over the place online. Oh,
Yeah,
3D
man.
printing will never be a threat to us. And it's like, yeah, sure. It'll take you a month to print a mini, and it'll never be as sharp as the detail of our miniatures.
Yeah, sure, whatever you say, buddy.
It was
It was completely deranged, and not only that, but also still suffer the after effects is quite frankly deranged hiring practice to this day.
Look, man, I don't need to look at someone's CV to know that they're qualified for the job. They just need to give me a can-do attitude.
They just need to give me a can-do attitude. That's all that I need to give you a spot on the members board of our entire business operations.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
Just don't look at the company as it is.
Just
don't look. Just look over there. Look over there. Look, it's Warlord Games across the road.
It's amazing to me because even before the modern era, Games Workshop has always been profitable. They've always made a profit. They've always been a success. There's been a few times where they had to get out of the gutter and that they have grown and grown, but there hasn't been a time where they weren't profitable up until Kirby and post Kirby, which is actually quite funny to me.
He's got a magical way about things, you need to understand.
That magic is obviously fucking meth rock.
I think Kathleen Kennedy over with Star Wars has a more potent version by the looks of it.
So true. So true.
You know, he sprinkled his magic over Warhammer a little bit and it got a bit sick, but it got better. Meanwhile, Kathy just strangled, smothered Star Wars with it.
Yeah, Kirby sprinkled it by hiring certain people like Kratos, a certain Matt Ward, and quite a few other examples. Or, you know, getting things like Battlefleet Gothic and Gorka Morka and other small popular games killed.
You know, I don't think he could ever get someone just as potent as Ryan Johnson.
Oh, the demon himself.
Look, he would eventually run off to, you know, do like weird murder mystery films for Netflix. But, you know, he wouldn't have been around forever. You know, maybe just to subvert expectations, he would make Yvraine and Gilliman canon. Because you wouldn't expect that, would you?
No, I think I would expect that from you, Ryan Johnson.
What a silly individual.
What a silly creature.
Oh, Tom Kirby. So smug, so wrong, and so many other things.
R.I.P. Rest in piss. I don't think he's actually dead. I just haven't heard about it.
I think he's still in the company to some degree. At least he was.
Fuck, he got that advisor role that he begged for in his little letter. That's
for future us to worry about. Who knows what? Look, they're probably smart enough to realize, yeah, maybe we shouldn't take his advice. They keep him on as a courtesy, really.
The demon Kirby.
What are some of the most influential individual products released that affected the company itself? So my examples would be like the Uruk-hai box or Calth.
Okay, well, Calth and Uruk-hai are two very good examples, because I can wholeheartedly say that if Uruk-hai didn't sell as well as it did, and I mean that thing sold, probably like today, if it came out and had this influence, you know, it did back then, it would sell millions. Back then, it probably sold 1 million, which is a big number, of course. It's probably one of the things that kept Lord of the Rings going as a miniature war game for so long, and hell, even still to this day, because it showed that people had a dedicated fascination and interest with the game that they would go to such length to essentially make recreation that exact scene from the movie. You know the one.
Oh yeah.
Like Helmet's Depth, something like that. It's probably also gave funding for the team to make all of their weird and wonderful little Lord of the Rings expansion books after the movie's finished, which were also really cool, but probably not the most popular. Yeah, the Uruk-hai box was very influential. Calth, technically speaking, isn't really a Games Workshop or a Forge World product, but is undeniably made by Shop because it was sold as in-store / online exclusive board game. However, to say that Calth had no influence on Games Workshop whatsoever, or hell, even World, would be quite literally lying, because Calth was considered, and hell, even rebought by Forge World so that it could be sold with upgrade sprues, resin upgrade packs, to act as the essentially start collecting boxes for Horus Heresy. I mean, you can even look back on the Wayback Machine, but Forge World used to sell boxes of Calth, sometimes even in multiples, with like Legion specific grade sprues to make, for example, Alpha Legion Headhunter.
I remember it because I would look at the website and be like, oh, I can't afford you.
Yeah, I know.
Because I was young, not on a job.
And they would sell that not as an official starter set, but because everybody knew that that's the thing that you wanted to get as a starter set. And Calth originally was just supposed to be like a throwaway box game that some people would buy like
I think the
one or two
dreadnought is
of.
the sort of evidence of that. I think they would have made it a bit better if they knew how good it would be.
Yeah, they probably would have. And same with the they probably would have made the character part too. The Centurion and the good old. Well, actually, technically speaking, they can both be Centurions or whatever denomination
Look,
that
if
you
you
really
read the
want
little
them to be.
spin-off novel,
Yeah, I haven't actually read that spin-off novel. I need to, at some point.
Bando on occasion gushes at me about it.
Really? Damn.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, no, it's actually pretty good. This and that and the other.
But yeah, Betrayal at Calth sold so many boxes. Like, to this day, you can still find cheap as chips Calth tokens, board mats, and rule books just being literally littered everywhere. Then here comes the notorious bestseller for literally actual human generations, the Tactical Squad.
I don't think I can
third edition, then eventually evolving into the 6th edition, Tactical Squad is Games Workshop. Well, up until, like, I guess the Primaris Intercessor now, or whatever the fuck they sell the most of these days, was the bread and butter of that company. They have sold literally tens of millions of that set.
This is gonna probably disgust you. I've not actually built one before. Not done it yet.
Well, okay. So now I need to get some rope.
If look, if anyone's listening, I'm not suicidal and I did not shoot myself 5 times in the back of the head.
This is just disappointing. This is just very disappointing. Because you probably have now just missed out, well, up until the current tactical kit dies. The single most versatile, ever applicable, useful, bits rich, and actually, quite frankly, posable and multi-dynamic kit that they've ever made. Ever.
Have you considered that they're like a millimeter shorter than the Primaris? That's bad.
I don't give a shit. Shut up.
Why do you want
plus,
all these ball joints and stuff? Why isn't like the leg connected to the neck, which is connected to like half the head?
Oh man, I hate push fit models and how they make
They're not even push fit. They should be push fit for how monopose they are, but they're not. You gotta glue them all.
Yeah. Oh, bruh. It's amazing to me that just how far models have regressed in many ways. Because, okay, put it like this: the tactical marine had never been really scale accurate. That wasn't like what they were trying to achieve back then. Because a good amount of those models, as we all know, was hand sculpted. Which means that scaling was kind of a problem in many cases, up until they could do to the bigger one. Legendary 50mm game, what's his name? Inquisitor. That was good. I like Inquisitor. Too bad it died so early.
You see some cool conversions using the massive bits for like Dreadnought.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, there's that to say it. But scale has never been a particularly good thing. Even Primaris, believe it or not, guys, are not one-to-one scale how they should be. Because technically speaking, Primaris are now standing at the scale that the firstborn Marines should be, and Primaris should be taller.
What was it, Kasserkin are like head height with them? Sisters are also pretty big.
Yeah, and somehow Sisters and Kasserkin are also eye to Primaris Marines, so, lol.
Yeah, what was the Elysians kind of were an attempt to fix it, but then they're all gone.
The Elysians and Krieg, they actually did a pretty good. The Elysians and Krieg were a pretty good attempt at doing that, because, you know, they had more slightly builds and were scaled significantly better so that those awesome Forge World shots would look primo. But yeah, no, unfortunately, Forge World gone, and Games Workshop killed it.
I was just reminded, do you remember, it was in one of the visual diaries, one of the things that Bly talked about was wanting to do like Age of Apostasy.
Yeah, I remember that.
And what was the Nova Terra Interregnum?
Oh, man, I would so... man, that would make me... Oh... Dude, I'm getting into heat just thinking about that.
Yeah, we probably would have gotten like Alicia Dominica, we probably would have gotten Van Dyer.
I would have loved him just doing the Kaban machine too.
Lovely. The Proto Sisters. I wouldn't have been so. If you go to like Rogue Trader, you got the sort of older Mark 6 looking design for them. I wouldn't be surprised if they took inspiration for that, just like rejigged it.
Oh, you know why he would have. He would have.
Absolutely would have.
Yeah, many things like that. But there is one other thing that should be noted that was very influential to Games Workshop, and specifically in the modern era, because it saved them from what they considered a brink, which was the 8th edition starter set. It was their first real mainstream breakout product, and it helped them essentially regain everything that was lost in the marketing department and sales and whatnot from the cataclysmic dying of 7th edition and, well, fantasy.
Yeah, I was curious. You know, there's that little in between of like, yeah, AOS eventually improved in terms of sales and reputation, but like that's going to take a while.
AOS has only recently done the numbers that the 5th edition 40k box did, which, yes, it's climbing, but it's also not a good. It's still way behind compared to 40k.
It's way behind, but you know, it's not 1st edition AOS.
1st edition AOS is horrible.
And not even like 1st edition, release 1st edition for AOS.
Like, yeah.
They took a bit of time to try and improve 1.0 and eventually jump to 2, but you get those early days. A bit of a travesty.
It was a travesty. Like, I don't exaggerate when I say that the launch of AOS was just literally apocalyptic for their bottom line, because they went from having pretty slumping but consistent fantasy sales to a bunch of people openly slandering them and now lost a core fan base.
Do you think they'd have been much better off just in the long term alone with you know, you keep fantasy, you try and fix it up a bit, and then Total War comes out?
They genuinely would. Games Workshop would have made infinitely more money if they just restarted from the get-go, like they said of fantasy, and then Total War Warhammer came out. Because put it like this, we had 2 entire AAA Total War Warhammer games, and nobody could play War.
Yeah, it's
for
not
12,
great.
For 12 years, millions of people have been playing your fantasy and having so much fun with it, and you couldn't milk money from them.
I don't know what it is with GW, but they're just terrible at cross promotion. Well, the Dark Tide came out, and then like a year later, eventually they had like a shitty little board game where they reused models. It wasn't even like custom stuff.
Yeah. You know what? A generous estimate for what they've lost is about $1 billion USD in total profits, let alone actual sales.
Yeah, people. Anytime you try and criticize GW in like terms of financials, people will be like, "Well, but they made this much money this year." And it's like you don't know what opportunity cost is, do you?
Yeah.
Space Marine 2, I view that as kind of a big fumble in a way, because all they really had was like the shitty Titus model.
Yeah, that really fucking god awful Titus model.
And they had him in a little game with.
Yeah. Moreover, all the designs that are currently that were used for Space Marine 2 were all the old Tyranid models that had just gotten replaced.
I would have thought they would have planned ahead for this. I thought that was going to be their plan. It was like, okay, we got this edition's coming out. We got this big game with Tyranids coming out. No,
like, I don't know what it's up with Games Workshop and being so fucking stingy with sending over like pre-release designs so that marketing teams and things that they're doing collaboration use it. Like, did you know that there was recently that like Ultimate Guide to Warhammer 40 from Kingsley Press or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you know what version of the Sanguinary Guard they have in?
Oh, it'd be the old one, because they wouldn't have been given shit.
Yeah. Do you know what Emperor's Children stuff they have in there?
I know very well. I know very well on that.
Yeah. That, for whatever reason, they couldn't go and ask these guys to, like, things that they've had in, like, their vaults for literal years. They already have the renders and everything. They just have to put it in. To put in renders of the new models in there.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
I'm like shocked, like things like the Screamer Killer didn't get into like Space Marine 2.
Yeah.
It's like this big model that you're coming out with. No.
Funny enough, the model of the Screamer Killer used in the animated trailer is different to the one that we got in model.
Probably because they were working off like a concept sketch or something.
Yeah, because the one in the animated intro has the 3rd edition Carnifex mandibles on the sides of its head, and has a much more inset head like the 2nd edition compared to the one that we got.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you can actually watch the 10th edition launch trailer is still up there, and you can see it.
I'll have to go
there was a
peek afterwards.
Yeah, I highly recommend it to all the viewers too, because personally speaking, I like the one that we got, but I would have also personally preferred the more like 2nd to 3rd hybrid style that it originally showed off in the trailer.
With the way the head is, you could because you build the head and then it's sort of like push it in because it's push fit. You could have easily just made a second head where it's more inset.
Yeah. I also hoped for a multi-kit that would actually give us the options trailer, but no. Too bad. Cry about it.
What was it? The barb gaunts, the bio, whatever the hell it's called, that like eats up the flesh, and psychers specifically. And then you have the big, what was it, psycho tyrant?
Psychofetch.
Yeah, it's just like all this stuff you have right there, and it's like you don't try and link that into the game that's gonna fucking advertise you to hell and back.
Yeah. Oh well. Sorry, you just need another furry space wolf helmet.
Oh, of course. I'm glad they just came out with that.
So sure.
But they're coming out with boss fights, and it's like, oh, what'd you pick? It's like a chaos spawn. Okay.
What?
Yeah, there's a chaos
Excuse
spawn.
me?
They're gonna put that in the game. That's gonna be an update. And then the mutilate vortex beast.
Oh boy. That sounds so interesting and cool.
I don't know, with how khorne is at the minute, with the world leaders not getting the slaughter brute or whatever. I'm like, are the Thousand Sons going to keep this in an edition or two?
Maybe not. They're going to keep Zangors though. In fact, actually, I think Thousand Sons are going to get removed. It's going to become Codex Zangor.
It makes sense. That would explain why their new robots don't look like the Castellax or anything. They just look like Zangor robots.
Yeah, they look like Votann Zangor robot.
I don't like the fucking dome head look they're going for, like all the new AI stuff.
Yeah, I know, it's dumb as fuck. I hate it.
A dome head. You're just locking yourself into that for all your automatons. Why? Why would you do this? Give me the weird skeleton head and freaky shit.
Did you see some of the original Jizz Goodwin sketches for Men of Iron?
I think I've seen a few of them.
Oh, they're so fucking horrific. I love them.
Is it like the weird Terminator looking one? Or is that fan art? Yeah. Was that one of his?
It's essentially like a redesign of the Chaos android.
Yeah, it would have been sick as fuck. They've kind of brought those back into 40k. It was like in Gene Father at the end. It was what Bile traded to the Dark Mechanicum for their services.
Yeah.
And we've got Votann, so you know, Chaos squats when GW.
One day.
Well, we got the Chaos Dwarves, so you know you can kit bash some stuff. There's like one bit of fan art I saw where someone like took the Votann's like armor, but then they applied Chaos Dwarf like aesthetics to it. I was like, oh, that's neat.
Well, to be fair, anything, literally anything, is better than what we got for Votann.
Yeah. There was a video I was watching, and there was two people, and they were trying to like figure out like why don't Votann sell as well? Like they have the nostalgia factor, and I'm just thinking, no, Votann don't have the nostalgia factor, because when people think of nostalgia squats, they think of the Necromunda ones.
Yeah.
Like even Necromunda does like the trikes better. They've actually got wheels that don't look like something you'd see sweeping the side of a road of dust and leaves.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's just That's the absolute hilarity of just how bungled everything about Votann is. I mean, I could actually make a 2-hour seminar on just how Votann continuously underperform and underfulfill the desire that squats and what made squats and in turn Warhammer dwarves good.
Man, I'm sure you can get access to PowerPoint. You're able to record audio.
So true.
You gotta, YouTube's free.
One day.
Do you think, what do you think's gonna like come after Votann in terms of new armies? I think Corsairs probably.
Because I made the joke that squats would come back, so that's a great question. What would be, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to do the thing that everybody's saying faction to come into it, and that is a chaos xenos faction or dark mech, just dark mech or chaos like xenos that are aligned to chaos.
Khorne world eldar.
That would be awesome.
Oh, they could get real freaky with the biomechanical aspect, because Eldar already kind of have it in a light way, but you just really lean into it.
Specifically Dark Eldar.
Yeah, you just make it horrific.
I'd fucking take it. Seeing as they already teased Chaos Eldar for 8th edition and 9th edition and then just dropped it flat on its face for 10th edition.
We also got like some really old art of them, or like a dead one anyway.
Yeah.
Go on. Shall we move on to the next question, or is there any more you want to say?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the weirdest or most interesting thing you've come across whilst archiving?
Oh man, okay, there's a ton. One of the most interesting things, but a hoax. This is not actually it, but as a funny story aside, is that somebody claimed that they found like the actual notes of what Ian Watson used as inspiration for his Inquisition Wars.
Of course.
Yeah, which was it was essentially like a PDF file, which was just a series of various fetish porn and like very obscure 40s to 60s sci-fi.
I see.
And it was a complete farce. And I spent far too much time doing genuine research into. Oh, I've just been swindled, haven't I?
Look, but now the world knows, and the rest of us won't be swindled.
Yeah, it's so good.
Your work
hilarious.
is appreciated. We don't actually know if he used fetish porn. The mystery lives on.
He definitely did. But I don't know exactly which ones he used.
I don't know. I feel like you could, the internet isn't as active, so all that form of niche pornography hasn't sprung up in the period. So you just got to go from the 80s back and think, okay, what's the parallel for Gene Stealer Ussie?
Xenomorph Craw.
Exactly. There we go.
There's been a lot though. Like, I mean, there's all the very. Ooh, a good one is Spike. But to me, the most interesting thing that I've ever had to archive has been Warhammer Historical. Warhammer Historical. For people who don't know, Games Workshop for like a 4-year period of time tried to expand into the historical market and actually did mildly well, but not like successful by the standards of Games Workshop, so it was cut.
I think Priestley himself had to fund a good chunk of it just to get it off the ground.
Yeah. Warhammer Historical was essentially a historical war game, but using the rules, steps, and things that we're familiar with, well, Warhammer. And it was actually quite interesting reading army books and campaign books, because it's like, it gave me that exact same feeling of like reading the Allies and Imperial army books, like, where it's this
you can feel
so much passion, dedication to accuracy, and portrayal of armies, people, the things that but it's an actual historical event. Yeah. It's also such a strange thing for Games Workshop, the leading fantasy miniature wargaming thing, to actually do something, based 100% one-to-one real life.
It's weird for GW, but then you realize Priestley's there, and it's very much in line with stuff he'd be into.
Oh yeah, no, it was very Priestley, but for a modern perception and a modern audience, that's very Games Workshop.
Almost certainly.
It's But the thing that gets me, especially on returning to it, is that it has such a dedication, accuracy, and passion for the portrayal of the armies and people that's a part of the conflict that they're trying to show that GW can't recreate today. They just don't have the people, the passion, or the skill and storytelling in their departments to pull that off again.
Could I ask what time periods they were touching on?
So first they did Rome. Specifically, it was the Punic Wars. Mm-hmm. Then they did... they didn't do Battle of the Somme. It was mostly Roman to medieval period, because they did the First Crusade against Saladin, and the other one that I can remember is they also did War of the Three Kingdoms for China, and there was another one which was Japan. That was like the Samurai Clan Wars, but those were the four that they cut.
Cathay before Cathay.
Absolutely. Because we still haven't gotten Cathay, other than in the Warhammer Armies project, which I should probably look back on.
Oh, I forgot. You know Tamarkan?
Yeah?
Cathay was mentioned as something with that, I think it was one of Tamarkan. Either Tamarkan himself or one of his sergeants. Got run off into a corner to fight Cathay because he felt like it.
Yeah,
it was a bit of a conspiracy theory from people if this continued, would we have gotten Cathay through forgeworld?
It's a big conspiracy theory that we would have had that occur, because Tamarkan was one of the big things that they pushed up, which was actually really cool. We got the of Asgorn from that, which was the Chaos Dwarves.
I see.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Fantasy died, and
big rip.
Tamarkan just became another piece and the stepping stone to, the world ending.
Big boom.
Big boom, indeed.
So is that all, or is there anything else you'd like to talk to before we move on?
Special question that you're forgetting.
The final question, possibly the most important, just for life in general, not even for this interview, just life.
Yeah.
Who is best girl?
Okay, so I actually made a chart. It's a tier list. It's a tier list.
Of course you did.
I'm sending it right now.
Oh jeez.
Right at the top, you can see I am a certified Rincel. Right beneath that, in no particular order, peak of Emi Ibarazaki, Lily Sato, and Hanako Ikazawa. Mm-hmm. And right beneath there is hot older lady, being Emi's mother and Lily's sister. Mm-hmm. And then who can forget the best wingmen out there, Kenji and Misha respectively. And because last and probably least in my opinion, Shizune, because you know what, the story just isn't for me. I'm not a Shizune cell. I am a certified Rin cell.
So her story fell on deaf ears then?
Absolutely. My hands were not tied behind that chair.
All right then.
Only real 100%ers get that reference.
Comment below if you did.
Yeah, comment, like, subscribe, all that shit.
Comment, like, subscribe to me specifically.
Oh yeah, I don't have an online platform because I'm a hermit.
Look, we'll get that 4-hour squat rant at some point.
So true.
So I'll link that below whenever he does it, because now I'm going to bully him into doing it.
Oh fuck. Well, as long as I get to use your platform, I'd rather not build my own.
The crossover event. Alright guys, the substitute teacher's come in. He's going to rant about squats. I'm off for vacation. Goodbye.
Actually, you know what? That's not a bad idea. I wouldn't mind doing that.
Alright then, would you... Any last words? This is not a threat.
No, none at all. None at all.
Alright. Then thank you all for watching. Thank you for coming for the interview.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Been good. And goodbye.